green, but this green opted for greener pastures. Shawn Green waived his no-trade clause so he could come and join a juggernaut in New York. And tonight, Shawn Green makes his New York Mets debut as the Mets try and keep rolling, going for their 11th straight home victory as they take on the St. Louis Cardinals. At Shea Stadium in New York, the New York Mets play the St. Louis Cardinals, also available in high definition. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Shea Stadium. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez. As you might have noted, it is raining here at Shea Stadium, which I guess will make the outfield even greener for Shawn Green's Nets debut. And Keith, first game with a new team, middle of the season. It's a unique phenomenon.
Well, it is always a nerve-wracking your first at bat, your first game when you get traded to a ball club and you want to do well, and you settle in the next day. Shawn Green's been around a long time, and he's had a very fine career. His numbers have diminished a little bit. It's a chance the Mets are taking here for a little boost. When Cliff Floyd comes back, there will be an overload of left-hand hitters in this lineup. It'll be interesting to see how Omar Minaya, which direction he goes. And
Willie Randolph plugs Green right into the lineup, hits him in the 6th hole right behind David Wright.
And that's going to help David Wright, of course, who's been struggling a little bit with the bat. So having that big bat, Shawn Green behind him with Cliff Floyd out is going to help the whole entire lineup, to tell you the truth. Valentin also back in the lineup, so it's going to be a nice lineup with the addition of Green.
So Green is hitting 6th, Valentin 7th, and Chavez 8th in the lineup tonight. Before the game tonight, Shawn Green made his way to the podium where a lot of media was waiting for the former Toronto, LA, and Arizona outfielder to make his Mets debut. And let's listen to a little bit of what Shawn had to say to the media before the game.
This stage of my career, I played for 12 years now, and all that matters to me is having a chance to play in the World Series, and I look around baseball, and this is as good a chance as there is out there, and not to mention having a reputation for having a great clubhouse, great guys, and the guys I know obviously are some good friends, so it's a no-brainer for me to come here. And it's fun coming to the clubhouse, seeing a lot of old friends, guys like Delgado, who I played 8 years with, and and we have a long history together. I consider Carlos more than anyone else like a big brother. Throughout my life, he helped me a lot in my career from the time we were my first year in A-ball all the way up. So I learned quite a bit. I'm excited to get a chance to be back with him. Everyone talks about how you need to play in New York at least one point in your career, and for me, I couldn't ask for a better time. And I think leaving, like I said, a comfortable environment to come here is something that I'm excited about. Maybe kind of jump-starting that excitement for playing baseball again. To be in a pennant race on a great team in a huge market is something that you can't help but get really excited to come to the park every day.
And it will be a little different for Shawn Green. He said Arizona was a safe place, which implies that this is a bit of a risk coming to a big market. He played in Toronto, LA, Arizona, places without the kind of media attention that you have here.
Well, this can also rejuvenate your career too. I know it did mine. It's a whole different mindset here in the Northeast, and the fans are much more rabid, and I think it could revitalize his career, and we'll be very curious to see what he does his remaining 5 weeks of the season.
Meanwhile, the Mets' beleaguered starting rotation has taken another hit, sort of. El Duque was supposed to pitch tomorrow night against the Phillies. He will not. Brian Bannister is going to come off the disabled list and pitch tomorrow night for the Mets. Now, the Mets are saying that El Duque is not injured, but before the game tonight, he was meeting in Willie Randolph's office with Rick Peterson and with the trainers, and the decision was made to push his start back and essentially skip a start.
It's almost like they're trying to do this with this extra lead, that they're trying to pick places here and there where they can, give him some time off. But El Duque, of course, they're going to reevaluate on Monday, like you said, Gary, and I think that Bannister's going to pitch tomorrow, maybe Oliver Perez on Saturday. So this crazy starting staff still getting more starts from younger players.
So we'll probably see Bannister. We know we'll see Bannister tomorrow night. Probably Oliver Perez will be brought up to pitch on Saturday night. The Mets also just made another announcement which certainly affects them down the road. Ramon Castro, who had surgery on his knee yesterday, has been placed on the 60-day disabled list, and that basically takes him out as far as the rest of the season is concerned and makes Mike DeFelice the backup catcher for the long term.
Well, it's like the walking mash unit here at this point in the season. It's something you don't want to have happen when you're getting ready 5 weeks before the playoffs. You hate to see these guys go down, but the good side of this is that you've got a big lead and you've got a chance now with your older pitchers to give them plenty of time to get healthy and then get back in shape.
So the comings and goings on a rainy night at Shea Stadium. The forecast is that the rain is going to stop fairly soon and that we should get this ball game in. They'll wait a long time because this is the Cardinals' last visit to Shea Stadium. Well, Jose Reyes last night showed off just about all aspects of his exciting game. And we'll take a look at the Mets Energizer Bunny when we come back to Shea Stadium in a moment. Well, the skies don't look particularly bright, but they are getting a little brighter. Is that a little bit of sun peeking between the clouds there? The grounds crew actually is making an appearance on the field right now to take the weights off the tarp, maybe dump the water off. It is still raining, although not very hard. No pitchers have begun warming up, so it'll be a while before the game begins, but they certainly do expect for this rain to stop in fairly short order and for the Mets and Cardinals to get the game started tonight. Why wouldn't the Mets want to? They've won 6 in a row and 10 straight here at Shea as they try to get to 30 games over 500 here tonight for the first time this season. The Mets have got an MVP candidate in Carlos Beltran, but as we talked about last night, there's every reason to think that Jose Reyes has been at least as important to this team. And I think we got a good look last night at all the aspects of Reyes' game.
Well, he had a big night last night, and this is his good side of the plate right here, his best side, I should say. They're both good. He's a good hitter from both sides of the plate. He's improved on his bunting so much. He's improved on his hitting. He's walked more this year, 43 walks. He's probably going to get 60 walks. He's leading the league in stolen bases. He's got 15 home runs. He might hit 20. You don't know. You get hot. You hit him in bunches. And Gary, 65 RBIs. He might drive in 80 runs in the leadoff spot, and that is just terrific. And that puts it all in a capsule. What a great year this young man is having.
And you brought it up, Keith, to get, he has over 20 doubles. He could get 20 triples, 20 home runs, bat 300, driving 80. The last person to do that was Willie Mays in 1957. So just amazing numbers for a great player and I think an MVP candidate.
Well, Reyes has certainly been phenomenal, and there's every reason to at least put his name in the discussion when you talk about most valuable player honors. Well, the grounds crew is pulling the tarp, at least initially just to dump the water, and eventually we're going to get baseball in here at Shea Stadium. When we come back from break, we're going to take you to an Ultimate Classic from April 26th of this year, where the Mets played the Giants out in San Francisco. We'll go to that Ultimate Classic when we come back from break in just a moment. Well, the skies have cleared enough to create just a gorgeous sunset. And the tarp is off the field here at Shea Stadium as the Mets and St. Louis Cardinals get set to complete their 3-game series. Dave Williams set to make his second start for the Mets. He's completed his warm-up tosses coming in from the bullpen, and the nerves you have to figure are fluttering around inside of Shawn Green as he gets ready to make his Mets debut.
Well, I'm sure there are, but I'm sure he's also very excited to be in a team that is 13.5 games in front. And postseason play, I would have to say, pretty much a lead pipe cinch.
Well, you only get one chance to make your first impression, so Green's going to try to do that tonight, and Williams, of course, going to try to battle that right-handed power of the St. Louis Cardinals.
The Phillies lost this afternoon, snapping a 5-game winning streak. That stretches the Mets lead out to 14 games and has reduced the Mets magic number for clinching to 23 on the 24th of August. That's an awfully low number this early, and it means that the Mets are likely to clinch this division sometime early to mid-September, and you just wonder what that's going to mean as far as the way this team prepares itself down the stretch of the season.
Well, it looks like they're going to try to get people healthy. That's going to be the key.
Certainly with their starting pitching, that's the case. The Cardinals, with just a 1-game lead over the Reds, who have played tonight in San Francisco. Cincinnati just keeps on pecking away, and with the Cardinals struggling right now, the Reds not only have their eye on the wild card, which they lead, but on that division.
Well, the Cardinals also have injuries, and to their pitching staff, we saw Mark Mulder last night. He did not look good, and for obvious reasons, he's not 100%. They've got problems of their own, but they've got someone breathing down their neck, so there's no margin for error for the Cardinal ball club.
The fortunes change in the National League West from day to day and week to week. The Dodgers went on that ridiculous hot streak for 2.5 weeks, but now they've lost 3 straight. They just got swept by the Padres, and that got San Diego back to within a game of the top.
Well, you think it's pretty interesting, the comments from Shawn Green talking about coming to the Mets and having a chance to play in the postseason, the World Series, but Arizona still is in it in their division because of the records there in the West.
But they've lost their last 4 in a row, and so you see where they are, 4 games back in the wild card as well. Cincinnati with that 1-game lead on the Padres, who had the night off tonight before going to Colorado. The Rockies have pretty much fallen out of it after getting swept here and then getting swept in Milwaukee as well this week. But there still are half a dozen teams with a legitimate chance for that wild card.
Well, it's amazing. Florida, right, Keith? I mean, Florida, team that just sent all its veterans away, decided to go with all rookies, rebuilding year. Well, they're still in it.
Check out our subway around the majors. Miguel Cabrera last night, 2 home runs, including the 100th of his career. We mentioned the Padres sweeping the Dodgers, and Manny Ramirez struggling with a sore knee right now for the Red Sox, who could not need him more right now.
Well, he's the big bat in that lineup, and after that massacre up in Boston that the Yankees just brought out the guillotine for 5 games. I mean, he just within 3 games after that came up with the sore knees. You look at the new Met, Shawn Green.
And now, here they are.
And Dave Williams, who pitched very credibly in his first start as a Met, will get a second opportunity. And Shawn Green, and a different kind of number for him. He's worn 15 for most of his career, but that one is taken. Taken for a long time by the center fielder. And so Green settles for a different multiple of 5. As Beltran has that one locked down. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by ChevyOffers.com, the presenting sponsor of Baseball Night in New York. By Rico, move your ideas forward with Rico dependability. By Honda, see your Honda dealer and discover the great values now being offered. By Subway, introducing the play of the day at Subway, a regular 6-inch sandwich for only $2.99. Try all 7 Subway. Eat fresh. And by Dodge, you can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. 27-year-old Dave Williams started his year in Cincinnati, and now with a rebirth with the Mets. And here's the Rico Cardinals lineup he'll face. Different look tonight with Ronnie Belliard leading off, and So Taguchi in the lineup against the left-hander. Juan Encarnacion has done well against lefties, but this is a very different looking Cardinal lineup outside of the 2 guys in the middle, Pujols and Rolen.
Well, Dave Williams, though, is still going to have a tough task. Pitched in Pittsburgh, then Cincinnati. They're both in the NL Central. So St. Louis Cardinal hitters certainly know Dave Williams. Right-handed lineup. He's going to see the right-handed hitter sitting 333 off him. His job today is keep the people off base in front of Pujols.
Tony La Russa out chatting with the crew chief Joe West.
And the New York Met Geico defense is Shawn Green. He's made 2 errors the last 2 seasons. He gets his first start as a Met in right field. You'll see Chavez gets the start in left. There's the musical chairs that are only in one corner now. Left field will probably will be a platoon situation. Shawn Green is going to be the everyday right fielder, and we still got Cliff Floyd to come back when he gets healthy.
And underway as Ron Belliard takes inside. So a 30-minute rain delay to begin the night. And Williams throws a strike, 1-1. Willie Randolph was saying tonight that Floyd is not likely to be back before the 1st of September. That's 8 days away. And the changeup from Williams has him out in front, 1-2. Dave Williams made 8 starts for the Reds, really struggled. The Mets picked him up in a trade for a minor leaguer. He struggled in Norfolk, but then he sat out 6 weeks. And he strikes out Belliard with the curveball. 1 away.
Well, Ronnie Belliard has not seen a pitch he doesn't like. He just loves to swing that bat. Curveball in the dirt. Nice pitching. Fastball in, changeup down, curveball away.
And Ron, since he came back from those 6 weeks on the sideline, resting an aching shoulder, he pitched terrifically at Norfolk, and he pitched very well his first time out here.
You know what happens a lot of times when you get traded to a team. He was traded to Cincinnati. You see Taguchi up. Is that you try to impress sometimes in spring training, and sometimes you go out there when you're not 100%.
Deep down the left field line, but hooking, and it goes foul deep in the corner as it has begun to rain again here at Shea, and rain rather significantly. And many of the patrons down in the field boxes have opened up their umbrellas, and many others who don't have them are heading for cover.
Well, they're going to hope that this is passed. They want to get this game in. There's no off day tomorrow for either club.
They're both off on Monday. Mets are planning to fly to Colorado Sunday night, but they might have to change their travel plans in the event of a rainout.
And the Cardinals would be home and have to come back here, and so I'm sure they're going to slug it out tonight. Slog it out.
The curveball's high to Taguchi, 2-2. 64 miles an hour on that curveball.
Well, it's another case of a left-hander that's not overpowering. Only a left-hander can get away with it. 87, 88, 86 mile an hour fastball and cutter. But if you have a changeup and a slow hook, a big bender, and you're a left-hander, you can keep guys off stride.
Works him away with the curveball, and he fouls it off. We saw in his first start, though, that Williams is not afraid to come inside with his fastball.
He does come inside, and he's the kind of pitcher, because of what Keith just said, does not throw hard. Like, you think that a guy who doesn't throw hard has to work away. That's wrong. If you do not throw hard, you have to pitch even more inside to set up your stuff away.
And Taguchi lines one down the line, an extra base hit. Chavez plays the carom. Taguchi with pretty good wheels, and he'll make it into second base with his 16th double of the year.
Well, this is a changeup. I got to believe they got over the middle and inner half, not away. And that makes the difference right there, getting the barrel of the bat on the ball when the ball's over the middle of the plate. This is a great shot right here. Right down the middle. If you get it away, the hitter's out in front. He's more inclined to get it off the end of the bat and not, obviously, then not hit it as hard.
So a runner in scoring position for Pujols, who has 9 RBIs in the first 2 games of this series. And he takes the curveball inside. Now Pujols has seen plenty of Williams before. 7 for 19 with 3 home runs against this lefty. That's what he's done against the Mets. All the damage in the last 2 days. Turns one around foul, 1-1. Pujols, 3rd in the league in hitting. Tied for 3rd in the league in home runs. 2nd in the league in RBIs. Leads the league in slugging. 2nd in on-base percentage. He is arguably the best hitter in baseball.
I would have to say I agree with you.
He lifts one to deep left, but playable for Chavez. And that's the 2nd out.
Well, he's very spread out. And look at that. No wasted motion. And you would think someone spread out so far. Look how far apart his legs are. And no stride. That you would lock your hips and not be able to rotate. Well, Joe DiMaggio hit like that. He just got under that ball, by the way. Right on it. Dave Kingman hit that way. I'm trying to think of guys. And usually they were limbery, kind of sinewy guys. Pujols is not. He's built like Orlando Cepeda. He is a chunk. And he's solid and stocky.
So how is he able to get that bat around without locking his hips?
Pilates, you tell me. Something. He's doing something right.
There's Scott Rowland with 2 out and a runner at 2nd. And he takes the curveball for a strike.
Yoga. Those are all good things.
You know, he's the greatest example, though. You know how you always tell pitchers to use your legs. You'll be able to throw the ball harder or faster. Same with a hitter. If you can use your legs, of course it's going to increase your power.
A lot of hitters today, Gary, are more spread out. And the new theory is it's almost like a hitch in your swing, and you don't want any wasted motion. If you have no stride and you're far apart, then you can't get into bad habits, get out in front and lunge, because you're right there, you're standing like a telephone pole up to the plate.
Because 10 years ago we saw a lot of hitters with big leg kicks. That was in vogue.
That was Darryl Strawberry. It was a classic one I think of that comes to mind.
Bobby Bonilla.
Yes.
There were a lot of guys around who would use that leg kick as a trigger.
And I am not. I agree. I am not of that school. That it's too much movement.
Fouled away.
There's too much movement in that leg kick to get you off your timing. It's too much motion before, but it worked for Darryl, and it worked. You know, Willie Mays had a big hitch, Hank Aaron had a big hitch, and they were Hall of Famers. So there's, you know, so many hitters today and pitchers are like spit out of a computer. Yeah. They all look the same. You know, different strokes for different folks. Whatever works.
2-2 to Rolen with 2 out.
So I guess what you're saying, more working parts means more can go wrong.
Right, and it's all timing and rhythm, Ronnie, and you know it too. And pitching's the same thing.
Yes.
You had your rhythm. You were a very fluid pitcher. You had a very fluid, pretty motion and smooth and silky. Where I'm trying to think, Doyle Alexander. My goodness, he had a herky-jerk motion.
On 2-2, Williams comes inside and hits Rolen's bat with the fastball.
A little late reacting here. A lot of hitters we've seen today just, it's like they're blinking or something.
Right off the knob of the bat. Rolen having a good year. He's hitting .314, 9th in the league. Pops it up, playable for Delgado. And Dave Williams puts up a 0 in the opening inning. Works through Pujols and Rolen with a runner in scoring position. Playing in the rain at Shea, no score. Well, you may have heard that this September the WB11 is changing into the new CW11. So what does this mean to fans of the WB11 news? Well, the name of the station may be changing, but the CW11 will still be the place to find your favorite news shows in the morning and at night. Jason Marquis returning home. Native New Yorker takes on this Chevy Mets lineup with Shawn Green hitting 6th, carrying 314 career home runs into the game. Jose Valentin back in the lineup after missing 5 games with a hamstring, and Jose Reyes takes strike 1.
Well, Jason Marquis, the good number is that 13 wins. The bad are those 11 losses. He's had 243 base runners in 161 innings, giving up 30 home runs.
He's had 2 horrific starts, and that's what's cost him his earned run average. They had to suck up some innings, and then against the White Sox in the middle of June, he gave up 13 earned runs in 5 innings, and then on July 18th versus Atlanta, 5 innings and 12 earned runs. Ouch.
Well, you saw that. Saw the graphic that it's the first time since 1940 that's befallen a pitcher. As we look at Reyes' Coors Light cold blast from last night.
Well, he crushed this ball right here. It's over the grandstands. Didn't used to happen a lot.
No one hit it over there.
On 0-2, Reyes golfs one to center. Encarnacion racing, can't get it. Base hit. Encarnacion was playing very, very deep against Reyes and couldn't close the ground.
Well, he's closing right here, and it's not enough. And Encarnacion is not a center fielder. And Edmonds on the bench, he has had to play center field. But my goodness, Jose Reyes has got pop, but don't play that deep.
That is just way too deep to be playing against Reyes. So the Mets get the benefit, a pop fly single. Reyes stole 2 bases last night, 52 for the year as Lo Duca steps in. Ball hitting at .310. And takes a strike.
Now, I must say, those are handsome socks, but those are minor league socks. When we were in the minor leagues, they gave us those ankle chokers. Look at the stirrups way down there. Oh, the ankle chokers.
I'm just impressed that he's wearing stirrups. Who does that anymore? 1-1 to Lo Duca.
Maybe he might be the only one. You know, Keith, you were mentioning as we look at those ankle chokers. You were saying those 2 bad starts he had. Both of those starts were the pen was depleted. He had to go out there and suck up those runs, and you know, that's always works nice in the clubhouse with your teammates when you do that.
Last pitcher to allow 12 or more twice in a season, Chubby Dean of the 1940 Philadelphia Athletics. You remember Chubby?
Sure. Good slider.
Dizzy Dean
took a little off his fastball.
Larger brother, no?
He had a weight problem, I think, didn't he?
Well, see on the shoe there, what they do is they have that kind of plastic that they melt on the end of the shoe, so you do not rub that shoe off at the toe.
And Delgado gets nicked, and the Mets have 2 men on. The 12th batter Marquis has hit this year. And the Mets with an instant threat.
The center fielder, number 16.
Marquis' problem has been early innings. And the Cardinal Ford defense. Mr. Bennett behind the plate gets the start tonight. Taguchi gets the start in left field. Miles gets the start back at first base. Vizcaino on the bench. Everybody else is the same cast of characters. It's a Cardinal team looking for answers, looking for ways to plug the gap. They're just banged up.
Meanwhile, the Mets are looking for another fast start. 107 first inning runs this year, including 4 last night. And Beltran takes it wide.
I was talking to Al Hrabowski, my former teammate. He's the TV analyst for the Cardinal Network. And Hungo said that Marquis is a sinker ball pitcher. And he says in the early innings, he overthrows and gets the ball up. Then after he kind of gets into the rhythm, he starts getting the ball down. He gets hurt early in his start. There's Hungo.
Hungo?
Oh, Matt Hungarian.
Matt Hungarian. I've never heard that.
I've never
used to
heard
call
of
him
Hungo.
I told him, I said, Al, you don't look the same without the Fu Manchu.
He really is missing. He looks like younger now.
When Vern Rapp came, managed our ball club and made us shave off the mustaches and the sideburns, Al looked like he was naked.
There's a strike to Beltran, 2-1. Well, he had that great routine where he'd go behind the mound and make the show of psyching himself up and then pound the ball into his glove and explode to the mound. It was a show.
It was part of his routine, and when he shaved off that mustache, he was a wounded puppy.
2-1 to Beltran with 2 on and nobody out. Popped it up. Infield fly rule should be called. Batter's out, and Miles grabs it. That's the first out.
Well, other relievers that come to mind is that Carlos Delgado, the red-hot Carlos Delgado, comes to the plate. The great relievers with mustaches. Raleigh Fingers has got to be right there.
Sparky Lyle.
Yep.
But Raleigh's mustache wasn't an intimidating mustache like a Goose Gossage. I mean, Raleigh curled the ends of it with
It was a
wax.
handlebar mustache.
Right.
It's what you'd wear if you were a singer in a barbershop choir, a barbershop quartet.
Do you know what kind of work goes into doing that?
I'm sure.
That's a lot of work.
But it just doesn't have the intimidation factor.
What happens when you go to bed at night? Does it stick in your skin?
Does your chewing gum lose its flavor on a bedpost overnight? Here's Carlos Delgado, who is just raging hot right now. And he takes a strike.
That is a great adjective. Raging hot.
The raging bull.
I like that. You come up with some good ones, you know.
I'll bring my thesaurus in for you one day.
We have 5 weeks left. We got more coming.
Delgado with 5 home runs and 12 RBIs in the last 6 games. Marquis comes inside 1-1.
Well, one thing about Marquis, if you're a hitter, he's going to give you the fastball.
Yeah.
We always kind of like those guys. Unless, of course, they were Nolan Ryan or J.R. Richards.
So you're saying that every at bat you're going to get a fastball to hit.
You're going to get a fastball because he's going to run it away. I'm a left-hand hitter. Was so much easier. That's his pitch. That's his zone to run that sinker away.
Pretty good backdoor slider there. Maybe a changeup, but Ed Rapuano called that down. Marquis was pretty upset. He thought that was a strike.
David Wright waiting on deck. Maybe David can get his bat going with a little protection behind him now in the form of Shawn Green.
That's sort of the rare planes that went right directly overhead.
When it's cloudy like this, they fly him in a little lower.
3-1 to Delgado. Well, that tendency to play caveman baseball is what ran Jason Marquis afoul of Leo Mazzoni in Atlanta.
Well, you can't play caveman baseball, and what that is just rearing back and firing the baseball. Instead of pitching, you're throwing. If you have a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, maybe if you have 95 or 96, you can do that, but not with 90.
So Shawn Green anticipating his first met at bat. Delgado pulls one into the shift, backhanded by Pujols, gets the out at second. Marquis covers, double play. 3-6-1, neatly done by the Cardinals, and Marquis gets himself through the inning. Marquis getting over to cover for the finale. On Mets.com, you can now download the MLB.TV Mosaic, and with it you can watch up to 6 games simultaneously on one screen, including out-of-market Mets games. It's the highest quality video of live baseball you can watch on the internet. Check it out at Mets.com. Well, the stadium across the street's going to be busy soon. The U.S. Open. Mets and the Open will be home together the week of Labor Day. If you are coming to either event, please don't drive. You will find it most frustrating.
Andre Agassi on his final farewell to the U.S. Open. Did he draw a tough draw the first round? My goodness.
Yeah, he's headed to play Roddick, I think, in the quarters maybe.
1-2 to Encarnacion. Preston to service in center field these days with Jim Edmonds still out of the lineup. Edmonds told Tony La Russa last night he wanted to play, but La Russa continues to hold him out. He's suffering from post-concussion syndrome. 2-2 to Encarnacion. But without Edmonds and without David Eckstein, who's on the disabled list with an oblique problem, this is a different Cardinal team.
A 71-mile-an-hour curveball, much like Mulder's last night.
I like Williams. He throws strikes, you know, and you got to be impressed with that. Here's Mark Mulder.
Popped up, and Delgado into foul ground. One away. Well, the Cardinals were saying nothing but positive things about Mulder after the game last night in terms of him being healthy and it being a positive step, but
The right fielder,
didn't look very positive
3,
on the field
Preston
last night.
Wilson.
Well, let me tell you, everything gets a different kind of spin now. It's very difficult to get even close to the truth. And there's Tommy Glavine. It's good to see he's healthy and coming back and going to pitch soon.
Glavine will throw a bullpen session either Saturday or Sunday, and the plan right now is for him to start as early as Wednesday night in Colorado. So it's going to be a fairly quick return, it looks like, for Glavine. And if that's the case, it means that Glavine will not have been placed on the disabled list, which will keep his streak intact.
Which is a badge of honor, because not going on the disabled list in your career is pretty amazing with that career.
Not going on the disabled list when you've been diagnosed with blood clots is unbelievable.
That's right. You know, we were talking about Mark Mulder and you know what the Cardinals were saying. You know, I'm just watching him pitch yesterday, and I'm happy that he's back and pitching. But that certainly isn't the Mark Mulder I know. I lived in the Bay Area for a long time, got to watch Mark pitch a lot of games. And I would say he's about 75% of where he is usually.
Wilson takes it on the inside corner. Strike 3 called. So Dave Williams has his second strikeout as he gets Preston Wilson.
Inside corner fastball.
Great pitch right at the belt buckle. You see changing that grip in the glove to the four-seamer, so that one will be straight when you throw it inside. Won't have any movement, and surprises Preston Wilson.
Aaron Miles, the number 7 hitter, playing shortstop again tonight. Jose Vizcaino played last night and hit a home run. Miles is a second baseman pressed into service at shortstop. So the Cardinals, who pride themselves on their defense, are playing a rather diminished defensive team without Eckstein and without their Gold Glove center fielder Edmonds.
Well, injuries will do it to you. It cuts into your bench, your depth.
And while the Mets have the luxury right now of letting people get healthy, the Cardinals don't have much luxury at all. They're only 1 game up on the Reds, and the Reds are only 1 game up in the wild card race, which means the Cardinals are in grave danger of not making it to the postseason. As Williams strikes out Miles, 3rd strikeout for Williams in a very impressive 1-2-3 inning. We go to the bottom of the 2nd. Perfect night for a duck with all the rain. The Aflac trivia question. Mets have had 4 Rookie of the Year winners. Can you name them?
3 come to mind quickly.
I got 3 for sure.
Yeah, I got 3 for sure.
Yes.
David Wright toward the middle, base hit. Well, it's been a struggle for David lately. Shawn Green installed behind him in the lineup. He gets a first pitch fastball and he rams it up the middle. And now Shawn Green will make his Mets debut at home plate. Shawn was wondering whether he made the right decision waiving the no trade clause. I guess that's a pretty good sign he did the right thing.
Boy, Jason Marquis wanted that breaking ball. Pretty good one, Ronnie.
Yeah.
That had some bite.
Green's home run production has certainly plummeted over the last few years. He hit as many as 49 home runs in a season. But he's a different kind of hitter now. They still play him as a pull hitter.
Well, the shortstop's way up the middle, and it's pretty straight up at second base. But Roland's way in the hole over at third base, and Miles, of course, is up the middle.
They're already chanting his name, but now he's lined into a double play. How quickly things change. Well, he hit the ball hard in his first at bat as a Met. Well, right to Belliard.
Nope, nothing David could do there. It was a bullet.
Number 18, Jose Valentine.
It's a big hang with him, but I tell you what, it's better than hitting a little bleeder or a pop-up.
So the Cardinals have turned 2 double plays in the first 2 innings. And now Jose Valentine returned into the lineup tonight. And he takes a strike. Valentine was sitting out with a mild hamstring injury. An injury that probably would have required 1 day if the Mets were in a tight race, but he took 5. And that was the right thing to do.
Well, the Mets are getting healthy, and I think getting Valentine back is really an important addition. He has been so spectacular this season.
Although it does seem like when you come to the ballpark every day, you're getting someone back, but then someone else goes down. So,
well, today we found out that Ramon Castro is going on the 60-day disabled list after he had knee surgery yesterday, so he's probably done for the year. We found out that El Duque is going to have a start skipped, although they insist there's nothing physically wrong with it. 2-2 to Valentine. So Brian Bannister is going to come back from the disabled list and start tomorrow night for the first time in 4 months. And Oliver Perez, more than likely, will be brought up to pitch Saturday night. To Valentine.
Marquis right now, Ronnie, just all over the place, isn't he? He just can't seem to settle in.
he's the kind of pitcher who needs to hit the corners, change speeds, and I think he's really competitive. And I think that works against you sometimes in the early innings.
And he walks Valentine. And the Mets have a 2-out base runner. First walk given up by Marquis.
The left fielder, number 10, Andy Chavez.
Andy Chavez sitting 8th in the order. That's a pretty good 8-hitter.
Yeah.
So for right now, with Shawn Green installed as the everyday right fielder, Endy and Lastings Millage will be sharing left field until Cliff Floyd is ready to return. Squeezes Michael Tucker out of any regular playing time, and it squeezed Ricky Leday off the roster. Miles takes it to the bag. That ends the inning. We go to the third at Shea. Still no score. The Jets and Giants meet in the annual preseason clash, and Sportsnet New York has a special late-night encore of this Big Apple gridiron battle. Jets versus Giants. Preseason encore tomorrow at 11, only on Sportsnet New York.
That Mangini of the Jets, that looked like Lenny Dykstra prowling the sidelines.
Lenny talked a lot more.
Really a resemblance.
Never heard of him.
Lionheart?
That's Freeman McNeil's number. I don't know who he is.
Richard the Lionheart.
Gary Bennett leading off. Doing the catching tonight. Gary Bennett was a Met for a minute. And he has himself a base hit, which is exactly what he did in his only at bat as a Met. He has a 1,000 Mets batting average.
Well, it's a high fastball, belt high out over the plate, and right now it might have been a changeup.
So Bennett with a leadoff single, and we'll see what La Russa does here with Marquis, who's one of the best hitting pitchers in baseball. Won the Silver Slugger last year. Shows bunt and gets it down, and Williams will throw him out, but only barely. So that moves Bennett up to second with 1 out.
Isn't it just amazing? This game was over 100 years old. Whoever designed it, the length of the bases, nothing's had to be changed. You know, it was a great bunt, and you still got him. It's just incredible to me, the precision and perfection of the field, the diamond.
And of course, the question is, who was that? And that's one of the great things about baseball, is that nobody knows.
Yeah. I mean, Abner Doubleday always gets the credit, but
that's certainly not the truth.
Yes.
We know that that's not true. We just don't know exactly what is. 1-1 to Ron Belliard.
Is it a derivative of cricket? I mean, you got
rounders.
Just,
there are some who claim the game was played in Russia 200, 300 years ago, or some form of it. Belliard pops it up. Long run in for Beltran, and he'll get there. 2 away. Well, Williams continues to shine. 2 out. And he'll take on So Taguchi.
well, that's interesting, Keith. You talk about the length of the bases and the field, because you hear it in other sports. They'll say, you know, basketball need to make the net higher, and the basket higher, need to make the playing field larger because the guys are so tall and so fast.
Football, they brought the hash marks into the middle of the field.
Closer.
Hockey, they're moving the lines all the time and changing the dimensions. David right behind the bag, and he throws out Taguchi to end the inning. But in baseball, it is a field of perfection. And so far, the pitchers have been front and center tonight. Now, time to answer the Aflac trivia question for tonight. The Mets have had 4 Rookie of the Year winners. Can you name them? Well, Seaver, Gooden, Strawberry. Oh, John Matlack.
Yes.
That's the one.
Yep.
That eluded all 3 of us, didn't it?
Yeah, sorry, John.
You know, Jerry Koosman almost won it in 1968. He lost to Johnny Bench because one writer split his vote. There were 20 voters, and Koosman lost 10.5 to 9.5 to Johnny Bench. Dave Williams takes a strike. Otherwise, they might have had 5. Remember, the Dodgers have had a ridiculous run of Rookie of the Year winners.
Yeah, it's every year it seemed like they were having a Rookie of the Year. You know, Steve Sachs, Sutcliffe, Mike Marshall,
Steve Howe, Fernando Valenzuela.
Yep.
And then they had another run in the 90s, right? 1 and 2. Mondesi won it.
That's right.
Piazza won it.
Piazza got it, of course.
Williams 1 for 13 on the season. Jason Marquis, who had plenty of experience pitching in this ballpark before he ever came to the major leagues. He won a New York City championship, PSAL championship, pitching for Tottenville High School his junior year. Pitched here at Shea and won the championship. His senior year, he pitched at Yankee Stadium and won the championship.
They alternated every year, I suppose.
And like the bunch this year, he in 1991 was on a team that represented Staten Island in the Little League World Series. Punches one foul.
Boy, that Little League World Series has become very serious, hasn't it?
Well, it's just it's on ESPN. It's getting an international exposure, as it should. It's an international event. I think it's a great event. I know when I was a kid in Little League, would have dreamed of going to Williamsport. Never did. When I was my 12-year-old year, my last year, I was MVP of the league. Of course, I pitched on the one game in a week. We played 2 games a week, and I played first base on the other. And I lost 1-0 in our first All-Star, our first game in the competition for Williamsport. I lost it 1-0 in 6 innings.
That's a big hang with them.
Well, I have to tell you that as a parent, I think putting 12-year-olds on national television playing baseball is not a good thing. I think having the tournament is fine, but I think having millions of people watching kids cry and listening to parents control the kids, I just think the entire thing should be taken off television. I just don't think it's a good thing.
I know what you're saying. I don't mind. They used to play the final game was on TV, I think, on ABC, and when I was a kid, just the final game, that was it. And I think that's a good thing. But I agree with you, Gary, because I was around the event 2 years ago when the Harlem team made their run. And when Harlem team made their run, I saw things that I didn't want to see. I really didn't want to see, from parents yelling and screaming to you know, kids crying, like you said, kids throwing stuff. Yeah, so you know, I do agree with you. I saw it.
And I even think for the winners, I think 12-year-olds are not necessarily equipped to handle the kind of adulation that comes with winning a championship on national television. I think sometimes that can really hurt them in the long run as human beings. Now, clearly a lot of people watch it, a lot of people enjoy watching it, and the kids who go certainly want to be on television. I understand all that. I'm a little queasy about the whole thing.
Well, it puts a lot of pressure on them.
Up the middle, and Reyes is 2 for 2. Now Reyes, who had hits his first 3 at bats last night, has a couple of hits tonight.
Hey, just a sinker that didn't get away enough, and Reyes hits it right up the middle. Remember, Reyes on the left side of the plate was always a little bit pull happy. And now look at the progress he's made this season from the left side of the plate. He's starting to hit the ball more up the middle, more into left center field, spraying the ball. I hate that term, spray. He's driving the ball to all parts of the field, where before he'd pull too much and get himself in trouble. So there's been marked improvement from his left side of the plate.
Spray goes in the same column as Punch and Judy, right?
Banjo.
Banjo hitter.
Ping hitter.
Reyes takes off, and Bennett's throw not in time. Bounces away, and Reyes has his 53rd stolen base of the year.
Well, Bennett right here gets the backhand, comes up, a little bit of a wasted motion as he comes up, a little extra added whatever, flick of the wrist or whatever he has. And that little split second can be all the difference in the world, particularly with a speedy guy like Reyes.
He might have had him otherwise. Reyes did not have a great jump.
Little wiggle in his wrist.
So Reyes, who scored 2 runs last night to give him 101 for the year, now in scoring position in a scoreless game. Delgado was hit by a pitch his first trip, and he goes the other way toward the right field corner. Wilson can't get it off his glove. Reyes will score easily. Wilson has trouble picking it up. Delgado will try for third. Relay by Belliard, not in time. The Mets have a 1-0 lead. Well, Preston Wilson made a couple of stunning catches last night, but not on this one.
I'll see what they're going to rule this.
And we'll give Delgado credit for a triple.
And Reyes right there waiting to see if it's caught. Delgado going slice away, slice. And that's a triple, legitimate triple. When you're home, you get that. You don't get them on the road.
First triple of the year for Delgado, who had 1 last year. That's his 7th career triple. Here's Beltran with the infield back. And he takes a strike. Well, it's been more than a year since that last triple. And he has every reason to smile.
Had a ribeye steak in it, too.
102 runs scored for Reyes, and we got 36 games after tonight. You wonder where he's going to wind up. Mets club record is 123 runs scored by Edgardo Alfonso. And Reyes certainly has every chance to obliterate that. Beltran, meanwhile, has a chance to move in on the Mets club record for RBIs, which is 124 set by Mike Piazza. He's at 103, and he's got a chance right here. Delgado to follow. In the dirt, stopped nicely by Bennett.
Well, what a stop that was. Got his whole, tried to get his whole body over there and ended up catching it with his glove and his right arm.
That's what that armpit is for.
Throw that ball out.
Well, Mets finally have gone to Marquis here in the third. He got the benefit of double plays in each of the first 2 innings. On 3-1, Beltran watches wide, and the Mets have runners at the corners for Delgado. Now, I think that at bat is a classic example of Carlos Beltran this year versus Carlos Beltran last year. Last year on 3-1, he's up there hacking at that pitch, thinking that he has to get the run in.
Well, he's certainly got a supporting cast this year. And, you know, last year was an aberration. It snowballed on him. And we're seeing, I think, the real Carlos Delgado this year. I don't think. I know. I mean, he's much more relaxed. You can't play tight and nervous and putting pressure on yourself. You just can't perform. But he is right at home this year.
So now Delgado with first and third and 1 out.
So it's almost like Beltran has confidence in his own ability, but he also has confidence in Delgado's ability.
I mean, you would figure with all the hitters behind him that he would have walked less this year. Well, last year he walked 56 times all year. This year already 72.
Last year was the first year that he had 15, 20 microphones in his face after a game. And you're having a bad year, and you got to answer the questions every day in front of your locker after every game when you're having an off season. You didn't have that happen to you in Kansas City or in Houston. The only time he was in the spotlight in Houston when he had that unbelievable playoff for them.
Was that an MVP candidates debate over at first base?
Yeah.
You gonna win it? I don't know. You're pretty good. Delgado hit 2 home runs the other night. Maybe he should be in it. To Delgado. You know, we talk all the time about having to deal with the media and the pressure that comes with playing in New York. You find at the end of a season playing here as opposed to elsewhere, you're more physically or mentally exhausted from that?
I don't think so. It never bothered me. It was.
Delgado walks to load the bases for right.
You know, I never really had a bad season here until I got hurt. So I didn't have a season where I had to answer questions about why you're hitting 240 or 250 and only driving in 60 runs. I had success. The only thing I did is just kept you in the clubhouse longer. There were so many you couldn't get out of the clubhouse faster you would have liked to. But it really didn't matter here once we started, you know, drawing 40, 50,000 a night. It took an hour for Shea Stadium to clear out anyway.
I agree with you, and that's why I think it can work for you. You get rejuvenated and revitalized every single night because there's 50,000 people here calling your name, screaming for you, imploring you to win. I was tired in Oakland when it was 10,000 in September, and you're in first place. That's tiring.
Wright is up with the bases loaded, and he hits one to deep right field. Back goes Wilson onto the track. He has room, and he's got it. The Duca tags and scores. Beltran to third. Wright made a bid for his second grand slam and the Mets' 10th of the year. But Wilson was able to grab it. Wright gets an RBI, his 91st.
Well, good hitting by Wright. Wright goes the other way. You want to cover the plate. You want to get at least a sacrifice fly here. You don't want to hit into a double play. So you're looking for a ball out over the plate that you can drive that way. And not necessarily hit a fly ball. You don't mind hitting a line drive base. He just got under that a little bit. And you see everybody's tagging up here except the runner on first. Delgado does the right thing. And that's because the instincts of Beltran, he saw that he didn't go halfway. He was on, so he knew it wasn't going out.
Here's Shawn Green for his second at bat, lined into a double play his first trip. Shawn spent 5 years in Toronto, 5 years in LA, and this was his second year in Arizona. Let's check in with Chris Cotter. Chris.
Hey, Gary, one of the things I thought interesting Shawn Green today when he first arrived to the park and addressed the media was he talked about growing up and even into the minor leagues being more of a hitter for average until he hooked up with Carlos in Toronto. And Carlos taught him how to hit home runs as he hits one to left field and drops for a base hit. Beltran will score, and the Mets take a 3-0 lead here in the bottom of the third. But he talked about being just that, a guy who drove in runs by hitting base hits. Well, Carlos Delgado actually taught him how to hit home runs. So I thought it was interesting that you would learn how to become a home run hitter that late in your career, Gary.
A welcome to New York moment for Shawn Green as he drives in his first run as a Met with an opposite field single.
Well, up fastball away, and Shawn Green goes the opposite field well, naturally. Not a good pitch by Marquis.
So the Mets with 3 runs home here in the third, and Green right in the middle of it. Here's Valentine, the 8th man up in the inning, and he fouls it away. Well, you look back at Shawn Green's numbers in the minors. His first year in the Toronto organization in A-ball, he hit 1 home run in over 400 at bats. And it really wasn't until his 4th year in the big leagues that he started hitting for power. Oh, 0-2 to Valentine. Started the career with Toronto, was traded to the Dodgers before the 2000 season, and then moved to Arizona last year. Just misses to Valentine. And he's a guy whose career has had some ups and downs. I mean, at one time, Shawn Green was a base stealer. Stole 35 bases one year at a 30-30 season with Toronto.
Well, he played 5 years at Toronto, a little over 5 years, 5 years at Los Angeles.
The Dodgers at one point tried to make him a first baseman. And Valentine strikes out to end the inning. That's the second strikeout for Marquis, but a productive inning for the Mets. Jose Reyes got it started, as he so often does. Stole a base, and then LaDuca's fly ball eluded Preston Wilson. That was a triple to bring in a run. Wright and Green with RBIs, and it's 3-0. Get your Mets season ticket pack to guarantee your seats for all 15 September home games and secure a ticket purchase option for all 2006 postseason games at Shea. Go to Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX to get your season ticket pack now. Well, Dave Williams take to a 3-0 lead, and he'll face Albert Pujols with the bases empty.
Well, it brought a smile to my face. I don't know.
I'm sure it
flashback.
I'm sure it did to Dave Williams too. And the curveball misses 1-1. Pujols flying to left his first time. And an even slower curveball, 1-2.
Well, yes, it's thrown it now between 60 and 65 miles an hour. I'll tell you, when the bases are empty and you're facing the best hitter on the opposing team, and you got a 3-run lead, I would sometimes, and Mel Stottlemyre taught me this, I would sometimes go against the book and try to get him out a little different way. It might set up an at-bat later in the game where you can go back to the book.
So in other words, risk something bad happening when there's nobody on. And Reyes is eaten up by that hot shot by Pujols, and that's a base hit to lead off in the top of the fourth.
Well, Jose so good getting in front of balls. This ball's just hit too hard. He had a shot.
Well, this needed to be a glove save and a beauty to make that play.
Ole.
He was no Eddie Jockman on that play.
Well, one too many curveballs from Mr. Williams, and it just seems that you throw too much of one pitch to Pujols, he just makes adjustments within the at-bat.
Yeah. Scott Rowland fouls it back. But I think that's really interesting what you said, Ron, that you're more likely to go to a hitter's strength when you're not in a more dangerous situation.
Well, I always thought it was a nice thing to try to prove to yourself that, hey, I can go to his strength occasionally, but my stuff is better than his. You know, that I can get him out. And nothing's more frustrating than making a pitch against the hitter, and that's his pitch, and he pops it up or rounds it out or any of that kind of stuff. But Mel Stottlemyre said he used to do it all the time, and he would ask, you know, the guys who are more control pitchers, you know, Dwight just blew people away, but guys like myself, Bobby O.
1-2 to Rowland.
Saying, like, you know, Bobby O was a changeup master. Well, if he was in a situation like that, he'd say, you know what, why don't you go after him with your fastball, see what happens. And that would set up maybe the next at bat. Two guys on, maybe Pujols comes up, he goes back to the changeup.
Rowland popped up his first trip, and Williams misses just away with the fastball. 2-2.
And just to add something on that from an offensive standpoint, talk about giving away at bats in the course of the season. Leading off an inning was always the toughest at bat because you're an RBI guy, you're up, you thrive in RBI situations.
Williams gets rolling for his fourth strikeout.
You thrive in RBI situations. You wouldn't be an RBI hitter if you didn't, and he just threw it by him. Nice sink at the last minute.
Center fielder, Juan Encarnacion.
In 2006, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York are teaming up to strike out cancer. For every K the Mets pitching staff registers, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York will donate $25 to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund. If you'd like to help, go to www.hopeandheroes.org. Encarnacion gets ahead of one and pulls it foul. Changeup from Williams, 0-1.
So you didn't like leading off an inning?
I hated it because I always like to get collected. I always like to have my ritual in the on-deck circle. I had my when I was in the hole in the dugout, I had my helmet on, was able to watch the pitcher. It was a gradual process getting you up to your at bat. Leading off, you had to run in. I had to hustle in, particularly when your dugout was on the opposite side of the field, on the road. With Shea, it was great because I could just chug right in real quick, get my helmet.
Could have been worse. You could be a left fielder.
That's true. Think about that. That's a very good point. but I hated having to wrap the rush, get my helmet. I always put pine tar on my bat and then rosin. And I had to loosen up, and then no chance to sit down. And it's a great angle from the on-deck circle to watch a pitcher work. And you don't get that. And you're up there, and it's an at-bat with nobody on base. And that's a bat that you can get lazy and make mental mistakes, not be prepared.
So do you think there's a different mindset for a guy like a Reyes, like a Lenny Dykstra, whose job it was to lead off?
That's their job, leading off. Yes, absolutely. And that was the leadoff inning for me early in the game. Obviously, in the first inning, I wouldn't lead off an inning, but maybe in the second inning, or the third or fourth or fifth inning, fourth inning, let's just say. And it's nothing's happening. That's an at bat you can give away. Now with a tight game in the seventh, then you're not going to give that at bat away because you want to lead off in a tight game.
Encarnacion drives it to left. Chavez is there. And back to first. Pujols, 2 down. The jumps that Andy Chavez gets on balls are just phenomenal.
It deflates a player. It deflates the opposing team when you make a play like this. We've seen that play 50 times this year already drop in for a base hit.
And it looks like nothing on television, but to see where he started and how easy he made that play look is phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, he and Beltran are the 2 best outfielders on the Mets right here, and I'll match him with anybody in the National League.
Wilson down the line. Nice stop by Wright. To second for the 4th inning over. David Wright takes a double away from Preston Wilson. Wright with the defensive gem. Still 3-0. Andy Chavez will lead off the last of the 4th for New York as we check out the Jeep upcoming schedule. Brian Bannister off the DL to face the Phillies tomorrow night. Phillies come in after taking 3 out of 4 from the Cubs at Wrigley. And after the Phillies, Mets head west to take on the Rockies for 3 and the Astros for 3.
Phillies are still playing good baseball. They got hammered today by the Cubbies.
Chavez takes the breaking ball for a strike.
Their rookie starter, phenom Cole Hamels, got beat up. And as a rookie pitcher, you can get beat up in your first time to Wrigley. Get up in the morning, that wind is blowing out.
And it was. Michael Barrett hit a wind-blown home run off Hamels. Chavez to Miles, and the tag by Pujols for the first down.
In Chicago, there's 2 prayers in the morning. Separate prayers. One for the wind to blow out, obviously, for the hitter. And the pitchers are praying for the wind to be blowing in.
Oh, I could tell. The first thing I'm starting in Chicago, as soon as I get up, I pull across the shade. And if it's sunny, you're in trouble. If it's cloudy, then it's not windy. And usually it sits down. But if it's sunny out, I used to not even go out to batting practice because you just did not want to see the guys rocking them into the stands.
And especially early in the season, if the wind's blowing in as Williams swings and misses, that means it's cold, which is even better for the pitchers.
Well, there's some days in Wrigley early in the season you need a bazooka to get that ball out of there.
You got to hit a line drive, and it's got to be in the gap over the 368 sign in the gap.
Oh, the one that juts out a little bit,
yes.
Right?
Reyes waiting on deck, already 2 for 2. So the Phillies lost in Chicago today. There was another day game played just up the road from there at Miller Park in Milwaukee, where I happened to be listening to the game driving in. This was phenomenal. Tomooka, your old friend,
Tomo,
was pitching for Milwaukee today. His first at bat, it had to be the 2nd inning, comes up with the bases loaded. Now Tomooka is a right-hand pitcher. He's a right-hand hitter. Came up left-handed for the first time in his career. Takes a big cut. Knocks the glove off the catcher, Danny Ardouin. Catcher's interference, goes to first. Run scores, RBI. Next time up comes up lefty again with the bases loaded. Hits one through the left side, base hit, 2 RBIs.
Jeez. Well, in this game, you think you've seen it all. There's always something new on the horizon.
Just because he's batting lefty and he's severely tardy on the first one, he ends up getting to first base.
Well, he convinced Ned Yost that he had done some lefty hitting in Japan, but nobody had ever seen him do it before in the States, and Ned let him do it, which is a little surprising, but it worked out for him.
I've seen Tomo hit right-handed. Doesn't matter.
Well, he couldn't knock the glove off the catcher's hand right-handed, right? I mean, how often do you see catcher's interference and then to have it happen with the bases loaded? And Williams strikes out. Third for Marquis. And I had to actually look it up in the rule book. You do get an RBI for catcher's interference with the bases loaded. Did you know that one, Keith?
I wasn't listening. Tell me.
I mean, you're the RBI guy. You know that if you with the bases loaded, if you get catcher's interference, you do get an RBI for that.
That's a wonderful thing. It never happened to me. If I had known that, I'd have done that more often.
Now tell me this: you got a big spot, tied game, late, 2-out, bases loaded. Why wouldn't you just swing at the catcher's glove? Game over.
Because we're men.
Come on.
He was too busy.
Anything for an edge, right?
He was too busy peeking for location.
I will say one thing one time. I had the bases loaded with Andy McGaffigan up pitching, and he gave me trouble from Montreal. Andy McGaffigan had good stuff. And he first pitched threw me a slider and it hit my back foot, my big toe. I never got hit my big toe in my life. And I was very happy. I was hit by pitch and a ribeye steak.
There you go. 2-1 to Reyes. Already 2 for 2 today. A stolen base, a run scored. The numbers keep mounting. Dave Williams, 4 terrific innings so far in his second Mets start. 3-1 to Reyes.
How about yesterday, Gary? First 3 innings, 3 hits for Jose Reyes.
Second time that he did that this year. Hits in the first 3 innings. Michael Young of the Rangers is the only other player to do that twice this season. And Reyes drives one to center, but Encarnacion is there, and that ends the inning. So Marquis has his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. Mets up 3-0 after 4. We go to the 5th inning at Shea. Mets looking for their 11th straight home victory, which would tie a club record. Set 4 times previously. And it doesn't seem to matter who the Mets throw out on the mound these days, and they've been throwing out a collection. 12 different starters this year. Dave Williams, the most recent candidate, and pitching well for his 2nd straight start. John May makes his next start on Sunday against the Phillies. Miles lofts one into right for a base hit. 3rd straight inning in which the Cardinals have had a leadoff hit against Williams, but they've yet to scratch. And the number 8 hitter Gary Bennett will come up. Bennett singled to center his first time up. Bennett takes a strike.
That's a tough job, isn't it? Like Gary Bennett has. Backup catcher. Seems like every year he has to go to another spring training and try to make the ball club. And so far so good. Last year played with the Nationals.
Well, Mets have Mike DeFelice in that role now. And it looks like he'll be there for the long term unless they make a deal. And it's driven deep to left by Bennett. Back near the wall. And it's out of here. Gary Bennett with his 2nd home run of the season. And just like that, the Cardinals are back in it. It's 3-2 New York.
Well, that's Bennett's first home run off a left-hander. Now, he came into the game hitting .409 against left-hand pitching. Only .149 against right. So he's been hitting lefties well and continuing tonight. 2 for 2. And he puts the Cardinals right back in this game. Low fastball, down and in.
Jason Marquis with a big cut.
Well, everybody seems to be a low ball hitter today, and it used to be in the old days right-handers were high ball hitters and left-handers were low ball hitters. Well, everybody likes that low ball, waist high and below today. Most everybody.
2-1 to Marquis, and he pops it up. Reyes retreating, Chavez in, and Chavez. That almost was some serious trouble, but Reyes bailed out, and Chavez caught it with a snow cone.
Well, we know Jose is very aggressive, always wants to. He's calling it right now, but so is Chavez, and hey, that's it. Hey, he hears Endy, he pulls off. He's calling it right now, and he hears Endy, and he pulls off. Excellent. That's the way it's done.
Yo la tengo. Ronnie Belliard hitting leadoff for just the second time since coming to the Cardinals from Cleveland at the trading deadline.
See a little bit of a difference in delivery on Williams' changeup. I wonder if it's a Western Union. Just a little bit of a shove on the changeup, as opposed. Just all it takes is a little bit of a difference in the delivery. And it's Western Union to hitters.
And Belliard walks on 4 pitches. That's the first walk given up by Williams.
Yes, well, he's got a kind of a short arm motion anyways, kind of wraps the ball. And you're right, Keith, that's something as a pitcher you work on constantly to try to make every pitch come out of the same arm slot. Unless you're a pitcher who, Louis Tiant or someone who uses different release points. But for the standard pitcher, you want everything to come out of the same place, the same way. Fastball's got to be the same motion as a changeup.
And that's your pitching. Your pitching coaches help you with that, because you can't see yourself.
No.
When a pitching coach is out there, you can watch and keep an eye on you and say, okay, we got to correct this.
Or I will say, just look at Rick Peterson. My rookie year, I was doing something with the changeup wrong, and Rusty Staub told me.
Of course.
Taguchi toward left center, and Chavez racing, and he runs it down. And hustling back to first is Belliard. Another sparkler for Chavez, who had to hustle over in the gap to take an extra base hit away from Taguchi.
Well, defense, defense, defense. And Endy has done it all year, and that's a very important part of the game. And this is a gap rep in the game. This is a double.
Have we seen Endy Chavez, as you look at Belliard going down to second and having to hustle back, have we seen Endy Chavez make a diving catch this year?
He doesn't have to. He gets such a great jump and picks the right lane to go.
He can play.
Here's Pujols with 2 out, tying run at first.
Here's a guy that's bounced around from team to team. He's never hit, and just came here and is just playing his tail off.
He's always had the good defensive reputation, but the offense was missing. And a lot of it because of stubbornness.
There was some stubbornness on Endy's part, because I know the Expos / Nationals wanted him to hit the ball on the ground, hit the ball the other way, steal some bases, do all those things, and they felt like he didn't. That's why he was dealt to Philadelphia for Marlon Byrd.
Pujols rips the curve foul.
Just seems to me Cardinal lineup has kind of made some adjustments on Williams, or like they're sitting on his curveball.
They made some adjustments against John Maine also in the first game. John Maine was going after the hitters with that first pitch fastball, and the Cardinal hitters the second and third time through started jumping on that first pitch fastball.
So plan B.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, Hal McRae, the hitting instructor for the St. Louis Cardinals, he certainly knew how to make adjustments. Fine hitter.
I think one of the most underrated hitters. He played in most of his career in Kansas City, where he didn't get a lot of publicity. He was a fine player.
The first great DH, Hal McRae. Hammered to third. Foul ball. Very, very close. Wright thought it was fair. Pujols stopped coming out of the box. Willie Randolph is going to come out and argue it.
Oh, look at Joe West put his hand on his hips. Joe. That's so Joe West.
Well, Willie's talking to the home plate umpire, Ed Rapuana, but the ball was past the bag, which means it's the third base umpire's call.
Well, here it is, right? I thought it was foul. Look at David's foot on the line.
And Joe
Tough
West
angle
right
for
on
us.
it.
Yeah, Joe West is on it.
Of course, it's all about where the ball is, and it's hard to tell from that angle.
Joe West's a good umpire.
Yep.
Pujols watches the fastball 2-2. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez, Chris Conner with you from Shea Stadium. Mets with a 3-2 lead as the Cardinals bat in the top of the fifth. Albert Pujols at the plate with a 2-2 count, and he bounces one foul. Pujols 1 for 2 on the night, hitting at .329. 6 straight years of 100 or more RBIs to start his career. 6 straight years of 30 or more home runs. He lifts it to deep left, but Chavez has room. And that retires the side. Chavez with all 3 putouts in the inning. The first 2, he really helped out Dave Williams. Calls off Reyes for 1 and goes over in the gap to grab the other.
Gary Apple with his Chevrolet Baseball Night in New York update. White Sox and the Tigers in the 5th. Jermaine Dog getting it going. He had already hit 1 home run, and there's number 2 in the game, his 37th of the season. 10-0 White Sox win. Back to the park. Gary Roberts Chief.
The White Sox shave a game off the Tigers' lead. It's now at 5.5. The Twins are playing right now and leading Baltimore 7-0 in the 7th. So it looks like Minnesota will stay a half game behind the White Sox for the wild card.
So Andy's probably saying he probably was there to that. Jerry Manuel, nice play. He's pointing to his eyes. I wonder if he said he had a little trouble with the lights. Maybe that ball traveled into the lights, because you can lose the ball in the lights. But he made the play. What a nice player he's been, and what a great addition.
Paulo Duca leads off and takes ball 1. And we were talking between innings. You never see Andy Chavez on web gems.
No, he doesn't have to. He gets good jumps, and I mean, other players would not get a good jump and have to dive for that ball. That's how they get on the web gem.
Well, Duca has his first triple of the year tonight. He had a fly ball along the right field line that Preston Wilson couldn't quite grab. And so LaDuca legged it all the way to third base.
That's a play that Wilson should have made.
A little tapper. Might be tough for Rowland. Bare hands, guns off the bag, and Pujols' tag is too late. That's an infield hit for LaDuca. So Paul LaDuca tonight has a triple and an infield single. Big parts of his game.
Well, Rowland, one of the best third basemen defensively, and he was playing way back. And look at this, he fields it smoothly. The throws on the bag. LaDuca's out.
I guess he missed him, huh?
Yeah, he did. He got him late.
I think that's a miss.
That's a miss.
Yeah. I thought at first it was late, but I don't think he got him at all. So LaDuca 2 for 2. A perfect angle to see that missed tag at first base. Beltran 0 for 1. He's also walked and scored a run. Delgado waits to follow. Toward the hole. Run down by Belliard. Nice play to get the force. Well, Belliard's made a couple of terrific plays in this series.
Well, you're right about that. He robbed Reyes last night, and now this in the hole here, ranging a nice play, but here's the tough part. Now he knows he has no chance for a double play, so make sure of the throw. He didn't overthrow it. He knew he had time. The ball's hit it hard enough. No chance to get Beltran. Make sure of the throw. Nice play. Nice play.
So 1 out and 1 on for Delgado. Carlos has bounced into a double play and walked. And he launches one to deep right field. That goes Wilson looking up, and it's out of here! Carlos Delgado keeps on rolling. 2-run homer, 5-2 New York. That is 6 home runs in his last 7 games. 32 for the year.
Well, don't pitch him down and in. You're going to pitch him in, you got to pitch him belting up, not down. And he's just got that quickness back. And Gary, we said before when he broke out of that slump, the prolonged slump, that he'd go into a hot streak. Well, he slipped back into it, into the slump. But now it's fair to say, and you can see this blows the game open right here. It's fair to say that he is out, and I think it's going to have a strong, strong finish.
And Wright lifts one to deep right center. Wilson near the wall, and he reels it in. And David Wright's bat looks quicker tonight than we've seen in a few weeks.
Weather gets cool, getting closer to September. You get that second win. Nice stroke by David. That's the old stroke going the other way, naturally.
Well, he's gone 86 at bats now without a home run. He came pretty close there, but the sign's certainly encouraging tonight for Wright as Wilson made the grab. Now Shawn Green, who singled and drove in his first run as a Met his last time up. Shawn is 33 years old. He'll be 34 in November. And the Mets have him for next year. Diamondbacks absorbed about half the money that Green is owed for the rest of this year, next year, and his buyout for the following year. So that deal made financial sense for the Mets. Remember that Cliff Floyd will be a free agent after this season. So the Mets refortifying at the corner outfield spots by acquiring Green. And that doesn't necessarily mean Cliff won't be back, but it certainly fortifies the Mets in case he's not. 2-2 to Green, and the slider misses 3-2.
Well, might not be as much as they don't want Cliff back, but with Cliff and Green at the corner positions, a very left-handed leaning lineup for the Mets.
Because Delgado, you know, is going to be here. Three and 2 to Green with 2 out. And he pulls it foul. Checking out the Hyundai in-game box score. Delgado with the 2-run homer to extend the Mets lead. Wright and Green with RBIs. And Green draws a walk.
Second baseman, Jose Valentin.
It's the 4th walk in the game for Marquis, and that is, it's been a slog for him. My goodness.
88 pitches now for Marquis, working in the 5th inning. And here's Valentin, who's walked and struck out in his return to the lineup tonight. The left field, and Taguchi in. That retires the side, but the Mets, who saw their 3-run lead sliced to 1, got it right back. Delgado with his 32nd home run of the year, and the Mets again have a 3-run lead for Dave Williams. To get your Sportsnet New York on the web, make your homepage SNY.TV, the online home of all things New York sports. And it's also where you can submit your questions to Dodgers Ask the Booth. Bob from Albany asks, Ron, different pitchers push off the rubber from different spots. How does this affect the pitch and the pitcher?
Well, each pitcher has his spot on the mound. I've never met a pitcher who changes spots on the mound for each pitch. I would give it away to the hitters, of course, but one, it's where you feel most comfortable. I think that's the key. Where you feel most comfortable throwing from is important. And then secondly, you try to pick a spot on the mound. You see Dave Williams here. As a right-handed pitcher, you want to be on that first base side.
To left field, and Chavez circling in. 1 away.
The reason I say that is it gives the pitcher, right-handed pitcher, a nice angle to outside corner for the right-handed hitter, inside corner for the left-handed hitter. And that was always, for me, the most important pitch for me to establish during the game. So I had to establish on that part of the plate, and then I could go away.
Sometimes you hear about pitchers being moved on the rubber by pitching coaches. Is that more a psychological thing, or is that more a physical thing to move a guy and have him pitch from a different spot?
It's partly both. Sometimes just to change things up, the guy's struggling, but most of the time you'll see the left-handers on the third base side, the right-handers on the first base side. Occasionally you'll get a left-handed pitcher who'll go to the first base side just because he's a change-up pitcher or a breaking pitcher. He wants to keep that ball in the outside part.
Popped up, and Reyes and Wright retreat, but Reyes is there, and that's the second out.
You sense a bit of frustration in the Cardinal lineup here. You notice Roland threw his bat after his fly ball for the first out in the inning, and look at Encarnacion. A little bit of frustration.
That used to drive me nuts. Like, what? I can't get you out?
So you think it's showing up the pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be if I struck him out, then if I looked at him and did a Dennis Eckersley or something, you know, which is bad.
And Wilson pops it up. This one should head out of play.
But, you know, that's just the nature of the game. You're in the middle of competition. You know, you're going to get frustrated. That's how it goes.
Joaquin Andujar for the Cardinals used to point his finger out like a gun
like
after he struck you out.
Like he was shooting you out.
How about Carlos Perez and that dance he used to do?
That's right.
What are they doing? What is Edmonds doing here?
I think he's bored.
I do too. Going to play guitar?
Popped up again. And this one playable for Shawn Green or Valentin. Green loses the cap, catches the ball, and a 1-2-3 inning for Dave Williams. Well, the Mets again have gotten as much as they could have hoped for from Dave Williams on a beautiful night in New York. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning and check out the Lincoln Mercury starting pitching lines. Dave Williams solid again tonight, while Jason Marquis, who has had the ultimate up and down season, down tonight.
The walks, I got the wrong one. Sorry. I'm going blind in my old age. The 4 walks to the 1 walks. That's to me is the thing that sticks out to me.
Dave Williams is going to get a turn at bat here in the bottom of the 6th and go on, try and keep it going in the 7th. Andy Chavez leads off.
Jason's been upstairs a lot. Just hasn't been able to home in on his pitches. He's just been so inconsistent.
Well, he's now given up 31 home runs this year, more than anybody else in the National League. And one behind Josh Beckett for the most in the majors.
That's a rough Stratomatic card. Got to be a 6'4", 6'5" home run in Strato card.
Chavez to left field. And Taguchi is there. One away. So 1 out and nobody on. It's the Mets home run inning presented by Amtrak Acela Express. If the Mets hit a home run, one grand prize winner will win a trip anywhere in the Northeast with Amtrak Acela Express. To enter or to see if you're a contestant, visit sny.tv/Amtrak today. So here's Dave Williams, who gets a nice round of applause for his efforts tonight. 0 for 2 at the plate. Well, we talked earlier about the fact that Ramon Castro, who had knee surgery yesterday, has been placed on the 60-day disabled list, and the Mets just announced that they have signed Kelly Stinnett, who was released earlier this year by the Yankees. Stinnett signs a minor league deal. He'll report to Norfolk.
Well, Met fans out there, your ownership and your general manager, I think, want to win. I mean, everything they've done this year, there's been an injury. The gaps have been filled. They've not been afraid to go out and get guys with big salaries. They've done everything possible. It's just been full speed ahead for a winner this year.
Well, it'll be interesting to see with the signing of Stinnett, who began his career here with the Mets 11 years ago, whether Stinnett is a guy they look at as a replacement for DeFelice or as insurance for DeFelice.
And they carry 3 catchers
in the postseason. I guess it's possible, since you probably only carry 11 pitchers. Reyes 2 out of 3 tonight. Right at the second baseman Belliard, who had him played perfectly, and that retires the side. So a 1-2-3 inning for Marquis. We're through 6 now at Shea. Mets trying for a 7th straight win and 11th straight at home, and they have a 3-run lead.
Gary Apple with the Chevrolet Baseball Night in New York update. Phillies and the Cubs, and that's Angel Pagan say goodbye. A 3-run shot, one of 4 Cub homers in the game. All Chicago as they go on to win by a final of 11-2. Back to Gary Cohen, Ron and Keith at Shea.
All right, thanks very much, Gary. Hey, no noogies in the ballpark. Mom! Mom!
Oh, he pulled his hair. Oh.
That'll get you going.
See, when you're a little brother, you got to play dirty.
You were the little brother,
yes.
I take it.
You got to know all the tricks. Because your older brother is just too big for you. You can clean your clock. There's just no getting around it.
One of those two will be crying in the next 5 minutes. I'll tell you that right now.
Maybe both.
Maybe both.
The little one because the big one hit him, and the big one because Mom got angry.
Yeah.
He started it. Ball 1 to Miles.
Yeah, right. That's a great one.
Tyler Johnson loosening in the Cardinal bullpen with the pitcher due up 3rd for the Cardinals here in the 7th. Aaron Miles 1 for 2 on the night. There's a strike, 1-1. You have to be impressed with what you've seen from Dave Williams tonight.
You really have to. He's pitched brilliantly. One mistake to Gary Bennett.
And this is not a blowout game by any stretch of the imagination. This is a tight ball game here. Been very composed.
Mets used 5 relievers last night after Traxel went just 5 innings plus. So Williams giving him a little length here going into the 7th inning, which you didn't necessarily expect.
Well, good pitch inside here. Ties up Miles. You know what's nice is when your manager lets you hit in the bottom of the inning, lets you go out there. You're facing a 7th, 8th, 9th hitter. You got to say to yourself, you know, I got to get through this inning. This is so important. My chances, our chances of winning, meaning the Mets' chances and Dave Williams' chances of winning, are so much better if you can get through the 7th inning.
Well, Rick Peterson, you saw on the phones, 6 pitches now for Williams. So he's going to go over the century mark here in this inning.
Might well see Darren Oliver tonight. He didn't pitch last night. And there's a base hit from Miles. So getting the leadoff hitter out has been the bugaboo for Williams tonight. That's the 4th time in 7 innings that the Cardinals have had a leadoff hit. Well, you may have heard that this September the WB11 is changing into the new CW11. So what does that mean for fans of the WB11 news? Well, the name of the station may be changing, but the CW11 will still be the place to find your favorite news shows in the morning and at night.
You know that one by heart.
I do. They need to change that. They need to make it a little more challenging. We're still waiting for our new CW11 shirts.
That's right.
Ball went to Gary Bennett, who hit the 2-run homer off Williams, accounting for the only 2 Cardinal runs. Pedro Feliciano, Roberto Hernandez, first 2 up in the Met bullpen, as Rick Peterson pays a visit to Dave Williams. And Gary Bennett pays a visit to Jose Oquendo. This is Bennett's last at bat. Only his 2nd home run of the year. It got the Cardinals back to within 3-2, but then Carlos Delgado hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the inning off Marquis to reestablish a 3-run lead. Now, for the moment, Jason Marquis is out on deck, but you would not expect him to bat. Bennett to center field, and Beltran right there. 1 out. Miles back to first. Marquis back to the dugout, and we'll get a pinch hitter. Williams will face Scott Spiezio.
Hitting for the Cardinals.
Spiezio had a key at bat in the game last night with the Cardinals rallying. Remember, they were down 10-2, got to within 10-8, got the tying run to the plate in the 8th. And Aaron Howman came out of the bullpen to strike out Spiezio to put the Cardinals to rest.
On a 3-2 changeup, if I recall.
Yes.
Spiezio sporting that red thing hanging down from his chin. It's rather devilish, wouldn't you say?
Kind of cotton candy like to me.
Maybe he dyed his hair.
You think?
And that's no, it was real hair. I mean, that's his real color hair.
You think?
Very bizarre.
I don't think there's anything in nature that's quite that color. 1-1 to Spiezio.
Oh,
it's a wonderful rendering right there.
It looks like he got shot in the chin.
The breaking ball hit the other way. Fair ball down into the corner. Miles races to third. He'll be held up there as Green tracked it down. And a wild throw back in. But stopped by Wright. It's a double for Spiezio, and all of a sudden the Cardinals will get the tying run to the plate.
Good hitting right here. I think he was sitting on that breaking ball, set up to go the other way, and that's how you hit an outside corner off-speed curve. Right down the line.
Willie Randolph assesses and heads up the steps. So that's going to be all for Dave Williams, who certainly presented his case well again tonight, working 6 1/3 innings. He'll leave with a 5-2 lead, and Roberto Hernandez will come out of the bullpen to try and set down the Cardinals here in the 7th. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless. You too can make the switch over to the most reliable network, Verizon Wireless. Let's check out the Toyota National League scoreboard. Tomooka, 4 RBIs. Remember that? Left-hand hitter, all of a sudden, drives in 4 runs, a pitcher. That's a good day. The Cubs stopped the Phillies' 5-game winning streak. Pirates lead the Astros tonight. Cincinnati at San Francisco tonight. Reds with a 1-game lead in the wild card and 1 game behind the Cardinals in the Central. Everybody else in the National League has the night off. Job well done by Dave Williams tonight.
Fine job by Dave Williams. Kept the Cardinal hitters off his curveball and his changeup. Roberto Hernandez in now, though. Roberto Hernandez used to these tough situations. 10th on the all-time list with 326 saves. Right-handers the last 2 years only hitting .216 off Bert.
Now Bert threw an inning and a third last night. Didn't allow a hit, but gave up a couple of very hard hit balls. Called in here with runners at second and third and 1 out. The Mets will play the infield back and concede a run on a grounder with a 3-run lead. Ronnie Belliard takes a strike. Belliard 0 for 2 and a walk. Started the night with an 8-game hitting streak. Speaking of hitting streaks, Willie Taveras, 26-game hitting streak coming into tonight for Houston. That's gone quite unnoticed, wouldn't you say?
He's a guy that went for the Rookie of the Year last year, had a fine year, and then this year was really sitting on the bench, not playing.
Hernandez up in the count on Belliard, 0-2. Popped it up. Could be playable. LaDuca and right, and David's got it. 2 out. Here's how you call for a ball. That was Hernandez from the mound, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Third.
Absolutely.
Bert's got a loud voice.
I heard ya.
Here's Taguchi. Tries to lay off the splitter, but he went around.
Boy, and Hernandez coming in here just really sharp with his pitches.
And needless to say, in a 3-run game, this is an enormous batter with Pujols standing on deck. And he gets ahead with a splitter, 0-2.
Just nasty. That ball going straight down on that outside corner.
Wow.
Laid off that one. And that pitch has been Hernandez's bread and butter for a long time. And there's Pujols looming. Met fans hoping for a sweep. Struck him out. Roberto Hernandez comes in and dominates Belliard and Taguchi to strand 2 in scoring position. Bert at his best. Well, they have to wait a half hour to play because of rain here at Shea Stadium tonight. Dave Williams making his second start. Impressive again. The Mets got him an early lead using their speed. Great defense as well. David Wright chipping in. So did Endy Chavez. But Carlos Delgado just kept on crushing his 32nd of the year. And when Williams needed help, Roberto Hernandez got 2 big outs. And so the Mets carry a 5-2 lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th at Shea. And Tyler Johnson comes on to pitch for the Cardinals.
Well, Tyler Johnson pitched in the first game of this series, got his out. You can see 41 appearances, only 26 innings. So he is a specialty artist in to get the left-handers.
First 2 batters he'll face, though, will be right-hand hitters LaDuca and then the switch-hitting Beltran. LaDuca's been on base 3 times in a row, a hit batsman, an RBI triple, and an infield single. Not a typical night for Mr. LaDuca. The triple is first in more than a year. Mets have had 7 hits tonight. All that off Jason Marquis, who gave up 5 runs, 7 hits, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a hit batsman over 6 innings. And Beltran on deck, and then Delgado. Marquis, with 13 wins, is tied for the league lead with a host of others, including Steve Traxler, who won his 13th last night. But he's also tied for 4th in the league in losses. That kind of year. And the backdoor breaking ball in there, and LaDuca knew it. And so Johnson fans the first man to face it.
That's LaDuca's 28th strikeout of the year. Only 28 strikeouts. Stands right on top of the plate and just gave up on that backdoor breaking ball. That happens. You get mad at yourself. Quit on it. It starts out around 6 inches outside and you just quit and it breaks in. Darn.
In other words.
Can't believe you wouldn't be more creative with your language than darn.
I've become much more civilized in retirement.
Beltran to left field, pretty deep and playable for Spezio, who stayed in the game in left field, and that's the second out. Scott Spezio pinch hit and then stayed on so that Tony La Russa could flip his batting order. So 2 out and nobody on for Delgado. Delgado keeps on losing them. 6 home runs now in his last 7 games, 32 for the year. Now just 4 behind Beltran for the club lead. And Delgado now with 88 RBIs. So it's looking more and more as though the Mets might have 3 with 100 runs batted in this year. Wright with 91, Delgado 88, Beltran 103. And 2.
In the run department, Beltran has got 99 runs scored. He's ready to jump on board in that century mark with Jose Reyes.
Reyes with 102. David Wright, who's had probably his best night swinging the bat in the last 3 weeks, standing on deck. And it's not even about the results, it's just about the swings. Shawn Green wanted to come to a winning club and hoping for a win in his first outing as a Met. And he has contributed to this 5-2 lead. Two and 2 to Delgado. Three and 2. Johnson keeps throwing the same pitch to the same spot, and Delgado keeps laying off it.
Loves his curve, slider, whatever you want to call it.
Right back to it, and he misses again, and he walks Delgado. He had him 0-2. And so he'll deal with David Wright instead.
Comes in, gets the 2 right-handed hitters, and then walks the left-handed hitter.
Gets ahead of him.
Well, he had to fire something inside. You know, it's nice to have a nice breaking ball, and you know, against a younger hitter, they'll probably swing at that ball that's outside. But a veteran hitter, after he sees 4, 5, 6 of them, he's going to see it, recognize it, and lay off it. And got to fire one inside to kind of stand the left-hander up, don't you?
I would think so.
And then you go back out.
I know that Delgado stands way away from the plate. As a pitcher, does that, even though you know that the book away is away on Delgado, Delgado standing so far away from the plate, does that make it you a little afraid to come inside?
I was never afraid to come inside, not where they stood. I want to know where their stride was.
And Wright takes the slider, ball 1.
George Hendrick for the And for the Cardinals, well, for many teams, he stood as far away from the plate as anyone. But you could not pitch him outside. He had to pitch him inside. So.
Popped up foul. Pujols for a look, but it's in the crowd, I think. No, it came back to him. That ball was headed about 10 rows deep, and I'm not sure what wind current caught it, but it came right back to Pujols, who made the grab. On to the... Well, Roberto Hernandez got 2 big outs in the 7th. He'll stay on to face the heart of the batting order in the 8th. And this is just where you want Albert Pujols in the late innings, leading off with his team down by 3 runs.
We'll watch Albert's approach here. This is the one at bat. When you're an RBI man, you really got to bear down. Now they're in a stretch run here, a dogfight with Cincinnati. He's sure he's bearing down, trying to get on base.
Yeah, he had to get all the way from first base to the third base dugout to get prepared.
I'm going to tell you, that'll wind you too. These are the dog days.
And Burt throws a strike. 1-1.
Now I know playing every day, Keith, you stay in baseball shape. But do you have to do cardio during the season, or did you run during the season, or?
Nope. Nope. You just playing kept you in shape. Yeah.
Weak ground ball foul.
I always felt that anything extra, what you wanted to conserve your strength when you're an everyday player. You know, I used to play 155 plus every year, so off days I did absolutely nothing, and certainly didn't do anything other than my normal sprints before a game, 3 sprints just to get loose and stretch. But that was it.
Well, these days, guys everyday players will come in after games and lift. And sometimes they'll be in the gym in midday, lifting and stretching. Pujols toward the hole, diving stop by Wright. Can he get him? He did. Second one tonight for David Wright. One to his right and now to his left.
Well, this is a better play than the other one right here. That is Brooks Robinson right there. Comes up firing. Very nice. And this is a 5-2 ball game right now. 3-run game. And that is a big out leading off this 8th inning. Nice play.
So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Roland. Has Burt thrown a fastball yet?
There it is.
I mean, he's been throwing all splits.
He threw the first pitch to Delgado. To Pujols was a fastball inside that missed. But yeah, you know, when it's working like it is tonight, you want to stay with it.
And Roland pops it up. And Reyes is right there waiting for it. 2 out. So Hernandez is phase 4 retired for. Chris Cotter is hanging out in dangerous territory.
and filthy territory, too. You don't want to bust it over here in the still photographer's pit. This is the cleanest place on earth. But in that last pop-up there that Albert Pujols made in the last half inning, when that thing goes up, Keith, I'm sure you can relate to this, particularly on a foggy night like tonight at Shea Stadium, you lose it. And I looked back up, and I could not find it until it was about 20 feet above my head, and I had no idea where to go. Luckily, I did not lose footing because I'd have been quite filthy had I managed to find the floor of this photographer's pit. But, man, that's tough trying to read those pop flies.
I thought you had great fundies on it, Chris. You look like an all-pro over there, all-pro.
There's ducking and there's running. Reyes to his left. And a great inning for Roberto Hernandez. Gets him out 1, 2, 3 as Cotter goes for cover.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Mats and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mats.
On to the bottom of the 8th inning, the Mets with a 5-2 lead. And Shawn Green in his first game as a Met has had himself a productive night. Single and a walk, and the only time he was retired he lined into a double play. Facing the rookie left-hander Tyler Johnson. A good cut in the foul ball. Well, Billy Wagner's been saving games just about every day during the month of August. Jorge Sosa up in the Cardinal bullpen. And breaking ball in for a strike. Well, one of the things Shawn Green talked about when he said why he waived his no trade clause is because there was a lot of familiarity for him in the Mets clubhouse.
Oh, I think 14 games sings a little louder than playing with their former teammates. It helps. But nice being on a team with a 14-game bulge.
And isn't that the nature of the beast anyways in baseball today? I mean, guys move around so much that usually, invariably, any team you go to, you're going to find some old teammates.
And he strikes out. In this case, though, joining a team that had not only a close friend in Carlos Delgado, but a guy who Green gives a lot of credit to for making him into the ball player that he is.
Well, think in terms of the value of Delgado. What has he done for Beltran? They're great friends. So he's just not only with his production with the bat has been invaluable with his presence.
Is Valentin, is 0 for 2 and a walk in his return to the lineup. Batting right-handed for the first time.
And the only memory that Shawn Green has of playing with Carlos Delgado was he was raking all those years when he played with him.
Well, Delgado, for all of his accomplishments, has never been in the postseason. But he has a World Series ring. He came up with Toronto late in '93, was not on the postseason roster. He and Shawn Green both, as a matter of fact, made their debuts with Toronto late in the '93 season. Both had World Series rings. Neither one were on the postseason roster.
They gave Shawn Green a World Series ring for 6 at-bats?
The Blue Jays do it for every player who wears a Blue Jays uniform. They did it in '92 and '93. And I think most teams have begun to do that now.
3 games, 6 at-bats.
You're downplaying the importance of that.
Significant contribution.
Well, Green did play in the postseason with the Dodgers 2 years ago as they got eliminated in the first round by the Cardinals. But that's it. That's his only postseason experience. So the Mets have got some veteran players who, even though they've had very good careers, are really primed for this opportunity. And Valentin draws a walk. Second one given up by Johnson, the 6th by Cardinal pitching tonight.
The left fielder, Andy Chavez.
I'll be sure to be at Shea this weekend as the Mets take on the Phillies Friday and Saturday at 7:10 and Sunday at 1:10. It's the year you've been waiting for, so what are you waiting for? Go to Mets.com now for your print at home tickets. Andy Chavez 0 for 3, but he's made a couple of terrific plays in left field. Mets have played some great defense tonight.
Andy Chavez stands real close to the plate on a left-hander. Look at that. I like that.
He's been getting more and more at-bats lately against left-handers.
It was one of your secrets, wasn't it, Keith, against the left-hander? Try to get up in the bot closer to the plate.
I always hit close to the plate. Lou Brock told me to do that, and he said, make it noticeable when you make the first adjustment. Catchers will see it. They'll pitch you inside. You'll go through the league the first time, look in, because they're going to pitch you in, because they're going to see you. And I stood closer than that. And that's on top of the plate, Ron, right?
Yeah. His hands will practically be over the inside corner.
The left field base hit. Now that's Andy's 40th at bat against a left-hand pitcher now. He's got 12 hits, so he's in 300 against lefties.
Well, good hitting right here. Outside corner. Look at the level swing. And one thing I've noticed on Tyler Johnson, he does not want to throw inside, and that's cruising for a bruising. Check out our AOL game summary. Carlos Delgado's 2-run homer, his
6th in the last 7 games. Opened this ball game up. Paulo Duca with his first triple of the year. Gary Bennett, a 2-run homer for the Cardinal runs. Want a better high-speed internet? You belong at AOL. Well, he didn't get an at-bat on his 48th birthday yesterday, so at 48 plus 1 day, Julio Franco will be the pinch hitter. He did get a birthday cake yesterday.
Saw that. I'm a bit surprised that Tony La Russa is left a left-hander in here. He has always been a guy that will play the matchups, won't he?
Yes.
Make a million pitching changes.
Well, he's got Jorge Sosa in the bullpen, but I'm not sure that he has full confidence in Sosa, who he has not had for very long. And you know, Tony likes the numbers, and Franco is 1 for 1 against Sosa. Oh, that one almost got away.
Nice play.
Gary Bennett.
Jeez.
Good vertical leap. You don't see too many catchers who can get up in the air.
That's overthrowing.
And that'll draw a visit from Dave Duncan. Well, Guillermo Mota gets up alongside Wagner. If the Mets get a run here, that would take away the save situation. So rather than waste Wagner in a non-save spot, Mota might get the call. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Chris Cotter, Greg Picker, Bill Webb, and a cast of thousands with you from Shea Stadium, where the Mets are trying to keep their perfect homestand going. They've won 10 straight home games, 5-0 on this homestand, and tonight with a win could tie a club record for consecutive wins.
You are like clockwork on that reset. Top of the hour. All the time.
I've got good direction. Two and one to Franco. Bill Webb puts up that great wide picture of the ballpark.
Time to go.
I'm like Pavlov's dog. It was more like a seal than a dog, wasn't it? Oh. Reyes on deck.
Is it September yet?
Almost.
Hey, Keith. Oh, that's the end of that bat. Keith, I hear tell that you have the weekend off.
I do. I'm mowing the lawn on Saturday. I can't wait.
Wait a second. You need 48 hours of rest before you can mow the lawn?
Well, a week with you two, I need tomorrow's off. I'm doing absolutely. I'm going to sleep late. I'm going to do nothing.
Okay, now will you be tuning in for the game at least tomorrow night while we're here?
Well, actually, I'm going to be here tomorrow. I got to come in. Oh, I forgot. Thanks for reminding me.
He just loves to be at the ballpark.
I had to do something for Anheuser-Busch tomorrow.
2-2 to Franco. Just missed the inside corner. 3-2.
But you can bet.
So that's why you're not mowing the lawn tomorrow. You're going to be busy.
Well, I got to come in for the pregame. They're handing out an award. I got to shake hands, and then
you're like a Clydesdale.
You can bet your sweet Bippy by the third inning I'll be home.
So that's when you'll be tuning us in. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
It's only during the broadcast that he tunes us out.
And Franco takes a call, third strike. You thought that one was wide. But Ed Rapuano punches him out, 2 away.
Fastball in the outside corner.
I bet you this is going to look a little outside, and it is.
So 2 out and 2 on, and here's Reyes. A couple of hits tonight, a stolen base, another run scored. Valentin at second, Chavez at first, and 2 down. Mets trying to add to a 5-2 lead in the 8th. Reyes had a 3-run homer batting right-handed last night. Reyes hit his 15th home run last night. 15 homers, 15 triples. Carl Crawford did that with Tampa Bay last year. Before that, you have to go back to 1988, the last time a player had 15 homers and 15 triples. Andy Van Slyke. Hit hard, base hit. Valentin being waved around third. Here comes Spezio's throw. Cut off. Throw to third is not in time. It gets away. 6-2 New York. Third hit of the night for Reyes, his 66th RBI.
Well, Reyes is such a good hitter, right-handed. He gets the belt-high fastball, stays level, excellent swing. Chavez does the great base running here. This is a big run to drive in. It's going to be could be a close play at the plate. And watch Chavez never hesitated, ran to third base to draw the cutoff. Even if he's thrown out, it's a key run Valentin scoring.
And Valentin keeps running hard, as you see Chavez, to make sure he could cross the plate if they got the out at third. So great base running on both parts. Pitching change for the Cardinals, 6-2 New York. Geico Sports Night, the news and information source for all New York area sports fans. Geico Sports Night covers the stories that New York sports fans care about. 6 p.m., 10 p.m., and 1 a.m. every night, only on Sportsnet New York. The former Atlanta Brave Jorge Sosa takes over the pitching for the Cardinals.
Very impressive in last night's game. Had a couple of strikeouts in his inning of work. Sosa, of course, throws very hard. Had a little difficulty in Atlanta getting over the plate, but using relief here for the Cardinals.
And the two old friends, Delgado and Green, enjoying a 6-2 Mets lead.
Shawn Green's probably, hey, is it like this every night here? And he said, yes, it is, brother, every night.
45,497 tonight, and it's been that way virtually every night this summer. Well, here's LaDuca. Now, Sosa got him out on a fly ball last night, as you look at the big crowd. But LaDuca is 6 for 14 against Sosa in his career. Sosa's been pitching better since coming to the Cardinals. This is now his 9th appearance. He was dreadful for the Braves as a starter and reliever after going 13-3 last year. There goes Reyes, and LaDuca punches it to left. Spezio runs it down. Almost lost it, but he hung on with the slide. Fishing in the ballpark. We go to the ninth, 6-2 New York.
Whenever there's a Mets game on Sportsnet New York, it's baseball night in New York, presented by ChevyOffers.com.
Gary Apple with the Chevrolet Baseball Night in New York update. Astros and the Pirates, bottom 6. Jose Castillo singles into right field. Here comes the former Met, Xavier Nady on his horse. He is in there safely. Pirates win 5-3. Back to Shea.
Now the Mets will see the Astros on their next road trip. 3 in Colorado, 3 in Houston. The Astros really struggling, and for all the talk about how they'd be the hard out in the playoffs with all their pitching, they just don't win.
And when you look at it now, that's quite an investment they made for Roger Clemens.
2 hits for Willie Taveras tonight, by the way. He now has a 27-game hitting streak. And Guillermo Mota will try and finish off this night for the Mets.
Of course, the Mets acquired him from Cleveland Indians for a player to be named later. It's only 3 pitchers in baseball since 2002 that have thrown more innings than Guillermo Mota. You saw Jason Isringhausen in the bullpen for the Cardinals.
Well, Wagner was up, and had there been a save opportunity, he would have been in, but Willie Randolph wisely saving Wagner, who has been pitching a lot lately.
And pitching better. I think he likes the work.
Yes.
The right fielder, Preston Wilson.
6, 7, and 8 in the order coming up for the Cardinals. Mota looked good in his first outing earlier in this series, and Roberto Hernandez tonight probably looked the best we've seen since the Mets got him.
What a great job he did. Just came in with 2 on, got those 2 outs, got Belliard to pop up, and got a strikeout.
I mean, the Mets have the best bullpen in the league, and it just keeps on getting better. Preston Wilson takes a fastball strike from Mota.
Oh boy, this works out perfect. Hernandez with that great inning in 2/3. And then you bring in Mota. You can keep Heilman, give him an extra day. Bradford and Feliciano a day.
1-1 to Wilson. Preston is 0 for 3. Aaron Miles on deck, and then Gary Bennett due up here in the top of the 9th. The last time the Mets swept a series from the St. Louis Cardinals, you got to go back to the 2000 season, where the Mets would later beat the Cardinals in the National League Championship Series. But in July of that year, the Mets swept a 3-game series from the Cardinals here at Shea. Struck him out. Change up for Mota, gets Wilson one away.
Well, a nice change up by Mota. This one starts in the outside corner, goes straight down. And Mota had a little bit of histrionics after he had this strikeout, some theatrics out there. And Wilson did not like it at all as he was staring at him.
So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Aaron Miles, 2 out of 3 on the night. And he pops it up. Chavez toward the line, 2 out. Well, the Mets are right on the verge of sweeping a series from the Cardinals. Should these two teams meet in October, will this have any impact?
I think the Cardinals will be thinking payback, and they've got a lot of guys injured. They got some guys out, and Edmonds, they're not the same lineup without Jim Evans in there, that is for sure, and Eckstein. So they're banged up right now. I mean, look what happened to the Mets when they strolled in that 4-game series into Philadelphia. They got beat 3 out of 4.
Chris Duncan will bat for Gary Bennett, 2 down in the 9th. 0-1.
And talking Chris's, the Mets did not face Chris Carpenter in this series, and he's the kind of ace that can go 3 times in a series if you were to play the Cardinals.
Well, first the Cardinals have to think about getting there, and they are really struggling right now. They could be in a virtual tie for first place by the end of the night. Cincinnati's playing in San Francisco, and now Mota 1 strike away from putting a close on this one. Now the Mets got Guillermo Mota for very little, and if he can regain the form that he had a couple of years ago, wow. So far it's all been positive signs for Mota. 1-2 to Duncan.
A little giddy up on that fastball, Ronnie.
Yes, what a gift. 86-mile-an-hour changeup and a 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
Spezio hoping for a turn. Mota hoping to deny it. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. A 1-2-3 inning for Guillermo Mota to finish it. The Mets complete a sweep of the Cardinals, and they tie a club record by winning their 11th straight home game. It's their 7th straight win overall, and the Mets for the first time this season are 30 games over 500.
Well, that Philadelphia series seems so far away. The Mets came home, got some home cooking, made some moves. The bullpen continues to shine. The offense now has kicked it into gear. Things are looking rosy.
And let's not forget, with El Duque going down today, not going to make his start tomorrow. They're going to evaluate him on Monday. Starting pitching becomes such at a premium, and Dave Williams with a great start tonight. Only 2 earned runs and 6 1/3 innings pitched.
So Williams gets his first win as a New York Met, and on the 24th of August, the Mets' magic number is 22 for clinching the National League East. They continue their dominance of the National League. 11 straight home wins now. Mets win 6-2. We'll come back to Shea in just a moment.
Great night, and please arrive home safely.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Jeep, the all-new 7-passenger Jeep Commander. It's your world. Take command. By BMW, the ultimate driving machine. By Crank, starring Jason Statham. Raise your adrenaline in theaters everywhere September 1st. And by the New York State Smokers Quit line. Call 1-866-NY-QUITS for free help and advice. Start your smoke-free life today. Well, it doesn't matter what the Mets do in terms of bringing in new players. Everything seems to work these days.
Well, they are 22 wins from 100. They go 22-14 the rest of the season. They'll win 100 ball games. That's something to strive for. I've been waiting for Delgado to get hot and carry this team, and I can safely say that he's hot.
Certainly not the lineup that the Cardinals are going to feature when Edmonds gets back, but still a fine job of pitching by Dave Williams to start it tonight, and only his second start for the Mets, and Roberto Hernandez, the star, getting Belliard and Taguchi.
And while you expected this to be a playoff preview, it may not be. The Cardinals are going to have a tough time getting to October. Again, the final score tonight, Mets win at 6-2. Be sure to join us for our next Mets broadcast tomorrow night at 7 as the Mets open up a 3-game series against the Phillies here at Shea. Coming up next, it's Nissan Post-Game Live. New York debut for Shawn Green and New Yorker Jason Marquis on the mound. And the Mets got off to a fast start. Another big night for Jose Reyes with 3 hits. Gary Bennett cut the Mets lead to 1. But Shawn Green had himself a hit. Mets played some great defense. And Carlos Delgado put the Mets where they needed to be with a 2-run homer. It's 6 of the last 7 games, and the Mets win at 6-2. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, and Chris Connor, I'm Gary Cohen. Let's go to Gary Apple.
Gary, thank you so much. Coverage of the Mets continues here on Sportsnet New York with Nissan Postgame Live. We're going to break down the game between the Mets and the Cardinals. A lot of reaction from the Mets clubhouse, including the skipper, Willie Randolph. Geico Sports Night follows immediately after with more Mets continuing coverage. But first, it is Nissan Postgame Live coming up after a short break. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Nissan Postgame Live. Gary Apple coming to you from Studio 51, Rockefeller Center West on a Thursday night when the Mets make it 7 consecutive wins, 11 straight at Shea Stadium. They beat up the Cards 6-2. In the process, they finish off a 3-game sweep of the Redbirds. Carlos Delgado struggled for so much of July into early August, kept his sizzling bat on fire. His 6th home run in 7 games. Dave Williams, rock solid in his second Mets start. And Shawn Green, a successful Shea debut. So let's get out to the ballpark for the highlights. It was delayed because of rain, but when they got started, Green was welcomed with open arms. We pick it up in the bottom of the first. Runners on first and second. Delgado down to first, and Pujols starting the 3-6-1 double play. That was beautiful by the Cards. And then here comes Mr. Green, his first Mets at bat. The fans welcoming him to the big town. David Wright on first, a shot to second. And it's Ronnie Belliard catching the line drive and flipping to Pujols for the double play. Green up there with runners on the, I should say, Jose Reyes. The single into center field in the bottom of the third. And then the very next batter is Paul LaDuca, and off goes Reyes, his 53rd stolen base of the season. He's had a terrific year. LaDuca then, good piece of hitting, going down to get it, sends one into right field. On the run is Preston Wilson. He can't play the ball. It goes for a triple, as he goes into third with his first triple in more than a year. Later that inning, David Wright coming up there with the bases jammed, and he has struggled hitting the long ball since the All-Star break. Sends one deep into right field, but the ballpark would hold it. Preston Wilson makes the catch. LaDuca tags. He comes in. It was 2-0 Mets at that point. Shawn Green up there, runners on the corners. And the high fastball takes it the opposite way. His first hit, his first RBI as a Met, as he knocks in Carlos Beltran. The Mets had a 3-0 lead. 5th inning now. Still 3-0 Mets. Bennett, just his 2nd home run of the year. It comes off Williams. Aaron Miles was on. It cut the Mets lead to 3-2. Bottom 5, Delgado, and say goodbye His 32nd home run of the year, as I mentioned at the outset, is 6th in 7 games. There's nobody hotter in baseball right now. The Mets in command 5-2 in the 7th. Roberto Hernandez in to relieve Dave Williams. Runners at 2nd and 3rd, and this was big time. He got Ronnie Belliard to pop out into foul ground as Wright goes over and makes the play for the 2nd out. The very next batter is Taguchi, and he goes down swinging. And a terrific job there by Hernandez, keeping the lead at 5-2. 8th inning, Reyes delivers again, laces the single to left, one of his 3 hits in the game. Jose Valentin on his horse. He scores. The Mets up 6-2. All smiles, and for good reason, because they go on to get the win by a final of 6-2. They are now 30 games over 500 on the season, 78-48. The Cardinals continue to struggle. They are by no means a lock to make it to the postseason at this point. Reyes had 3 hits. LaDuca had a couple, and Delgado, of course, as I mentioned, his 32nd home run of the season. Short time ago, our Chris Cotter at the ballpark with the newest Met, Shawn Green.
Well, Shawn, you wondered what type of reception you'd get here in New York, and obviously it was pretty satisfying in that first at-bat.
Oh, yeah, it felt great. I've always wondered what it would be like to come out here and play, and I could tell you tonight was the most fun I've had playing this game in a long time.
Do you need that? I mean, does some type of player with your veteran status kind of need to be rejuvenated from time to time in a career?
Without a doubt. I think for me this is the perfect time right now to come into a place like this, on a ball club like this, and have the excitement of the fans. And you can smell the pennant fever here at Shea, and it feels great to be a part of it. Even someone with your experience, a few butterflies before the game, and maybe even those first couple at-bats? I was nervous tonight. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. I was definitely nervous, and it felt good. It felt good to be up there, and the ball looked a little bigger. I was concentrating, I think, a little more, and from talking to some of the guys, that's just how it is here. You get that excitement from the fans. To get back into a lineup like this as well, where you got a David Wright hitting in front of you, you got a Delgado hitting in front of you as well, does that sort of help you kind of maybe get back into the groove and feel good at the plate? Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you see good hitters, it's contagious, and I'm just a guy like Carlos especially. We go back a long way. He knows me as a hitter and as a player better than anybody, and he's always got good ideas to help me out, and he's one guy above anyone that I'll listen to. You get the first start out of the way, but then you get the first base hit and the first RBI out of the way as well. A little bit of monkey off your back just to get those things out of the way in the first game. Yeah, definitely. It felt good to contribute, get an RBI and a 2-out hit, and that's what it's all about. I just want to come here and be a piece of the puzzle. My goal for the rest of my career isn't to go out and hit 40 home runs or do anything, hit 300. My goal is to go out and win a World Series, and that's the opportunity that we have here, and I want to take advantage of it. All right, well, welcome to New York, Shawn. Thank you.
So Chris Cotter with Shawn Green, and interesting to hear Green say that he was a little bit nervous. 12 years in the big leagues, but still feeling the butterflies. And we get a look at the numbers for the Mets. And Jose Reyes, 3 hits, led the way, and again his 53rd stolen base of the season. LaDuca, his first triple in more than a year. Delgado, the big 2-run homer, his 32nd home run of the season. And Green chipping in with the hit and the RBI in his Mets debut. Albert Pujols had gone just 6 for his last 8 against Dave Williams, but he mustered just 1 hit off him tonight. Gary Bennett provided all of the St. Louis offense with just his 2nd home run of the year as Mets pitchers held the Cardinals to 7 hits in the ball game. As for Dave Williams, in his 2nd Mets start, he looked really comfortable out there, mixing in his off-speed stuff. Doesn't always throw the ball that hard, but you can see the location, spotting his fastball, and then the changeup. Sometimes just about 65 miles an hour, but he got the job done. Solid when you look at the numbers: 6 1/3, 7 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, and a walk. He threw 102 pitches before leaving in the 7th inning, but he does make the decisions for Willie Randolph that much tougher, but very good decisions for Willie as Dave Williams gets the job done for the Mets as they again go 30 games over 500 on the year. Still ahead here on Nissan Postgame Live. We're going to send it back to Shea Stadium for analysis from Ron Darling, and Keith Hernandez will bring you highlights from around the big leagues, and we'll have Willie Randolph's daily postgame session with the media in its entirety. That much more still to come here on Nissan Postgame Live as the Mets get the win by a final of 6-2. Welcome back to Nissan Postgame Live. Gary Apple in our Midtown studios. The Mets getting the win over the Cardinals, finishing off the 3-game sweep. 6-2 was the final from out at Chase Stadium. Let's go out there right now, bring in Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez from the booth. And let me begin with you here, Keith. Shawn Green making his Mets debut, getting the hit, getting the RBI. But I'm interested to know the mindset here because you came over from the Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken, back in '83 during the season. And when you come over during the season, especially with a team that's winning the way the Mets are, what are you looking to do? Blend in, not make too much of a ruffle in the clubhouse? What is he trying to do here?
Well, I just think he's very happy to be here at a team that's 14 games in front. He's only had one playoff experience with the Dodgers, and they got knocked out in that first round by St. Louis. So it's a very big opportunity for him at, 33 years of age now, 12 years in the big leagues, to get a team that has a good shot to go to the World Series. And he wasn't brought here as just someone to fill in. He's a quality player, and he's going to be the right fielder. He's going to be hitting sixth in this lineup. And I got to feel that he got that first hit under his belt. That gets rid of all the jitters, and I got to feel that he is on cloud 9 to be part of this ball club.
Ronnie, talk about Dave Williams a little bit. Rock solid in his second start as a Met, 6 1/3, 7 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts. He does give Willie now some options as well as he's pitched.
Of course, and with Orlando Hernandez going down today, they don't know what it is. I think they're just going to give him some rest. Brian Bannister going to pitch tomorrow. You need guys like Dave Williams to come through, and he did. He was spotting his fastball. We saw him throw his curveball a lot more than he's thrown it in the past. He goes upstairs and down with his fastball, and his changeup was outstanding. So 6 1/3 innings from Williams.
You mentioned El Duque. He pitched pretty well against the Rockies last time out. 6 scoreless innings. He struck out 8. What is his story, Ron?
Well, there's no story yet. They're going to reevaluate on Monday, but right now they're just saying that, they're going to try to skip his start, give him some extra rest.
Boy, the defense was awfully good for the Mets in this game. They're really getting it done in so many different areas. And Endy Chavez out in left field, I know, Keith, you talked about just what a really good defender he is. He covers so much ground. And then David Wright getting better every day down at third base.
Well, we've been following this club all year, and the things that stick out for everybody are, the home runs, the offense, and the pitching. And the defense always gets kind of overlooked. But this club has been solid defensively from day one. They've been solid fundamentally as far as hitting cutoff men, running the bases. This has been a very well-rounded team, and they've deserved their 14-game lead.
So there we were in the 7th inning. It was not decided yet as we see David Wright one more time dive to his left and get the out. It was a 3-run game. The Cardinals had a couple on, and they bring in Roberto Hernandez, who has really not been seen much lately, and he got 2 really big outs, getting Belliard and then Taguchi. Ron, as you look at him, tell us what you saw from him in this game.
Well, you know what happened. Heilman throwing the way he's been throwing, he's been relegated to pitching some 5th and 6th innings. But they really looked like they wanted to give Heilman some rest today. He got the big outs. He was brought in. He got Belliard on a split finger. His split finger tonight was unhittable as Belliard popped it up and Taguchi struck out. But it was nice to see Bert get some big outs to get the ball to, it would have been Billy Wagner, but the Mets scored another run. Guillermo Mota looked great, too, as he came in and threw that 96-mile-an-hour fastball and changeup. So the bullpen, again, like it's been every single night, just spot on.
All right, Ron and Keith, we thank you both very much. And Keith, as you mentioned, you're going to get a couple of days off. Enjoy them.
Yes, I promise I will.
All right, we thank Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez out of Chase Stadium, where the Mets get the win over the Cardinals by a final of 6-2. Much more to get to here on Nissan Postgame Live. When we come back, we'll take a look ahead at what's coming up on Geico Sports Night. We'll check in with Kenny Choi. We are back here from our Midtown studios in just a moment. Welcome back to Nissan Postgame Live and our Nissan Play of the Game. Bottom 5, 3-2 Mets, and just like that, it was 5-2. Carlos Delgado, his 32nd home run of the year. He is locked in right now as he is feeling it. The Mets go on to get the win by a final of 6-2, and really, there is nobody hotter at the moment than Carlos Delgado in all of baseball. In his last 7 games, he is hitting .545. He's got 6 home runs, 14 RBI, and he has scored 10 runs. He is a big part of this Mets 7-game winning streak. It's not a coincidence that Delgado has gotten this hot, and the Mets have won 7 straight. Let us take a look ahead at the upcoming schedule for the Mets, who open a series against the Phillies on Friday. Coverage beginning here on SNY at 6:30, and then on Saturday over on the WB, coverage beginning at 7 o'clock. Brian Bannister will be back on the mound for the Mets on Friday night. He's come off the 60-day DL. Don't forget, he hasn't pitched since he injured his hamstring back on April 26th in San Francisco. It was painful to watch him make his way around the bases and limp home. He was safe, may I add, but he hasn't pitched since. Of course, he's had trouble with that hamstring, but he is ready to go and will be on the mound taking El Duque's spot in the rotation on Friday against the Phillies, facing off against Randy Wolf. It is interesting to note that Bannister unbeaten in his early starts this season with the Mets. Now, a few minutes ago, I mentioned that Lastings Millage has been optioned down to Norfolk to make room for Bannister. And just a short time ago, he spent some time with our Chris Cotter. Let's listen to that interview right now.
You know, I'm the guy with options, so, you know, I can get sent down, so, you know, we'll see what happens. I don't know whether I'm gonna be back, but I'm pretty sure I will, but it's just tough. It's tough, and I got to make a lot of arrangements for me living and stuff. So, you know, that's the only disappointing thing. Disappointing thing is not going down. It's, you know, making all your living arrangements and, you know, stuff. It just throws you, it throws you off a little bit, but, you know, it's okay.
But has it given you any confidence that they just haven't traded you, that Omar wants you to be a part of this organization?
Yeah, I mean, it all feels good, and everything will work out. Right now, like I said, it's pretty tough. So it's a tough situation to be in. We have a lot of outfielders on this team, and that's on the bench in Platooner right now. So it's tough.
All right, and so a very disappointed Lastings Millage, as you might expect, as he heads back to the minor leagues. But the Mets roll on 6-2 out of Chase Stadium just a few minutes ago. The manager, Willie Randolph, wrapped up his press conference. Let us listen in its entirety to the Mets skipper.
Yeah, exactly. We just made a roster move. We send out Lastings Millage and added Bannister for tomorrow's game. So Brian Bannister will pitch tomorrow. We outrighted Lastings. Okay. Shoot.
Will you figure with Lastings, this is just a week thing? Bring him back on September 1?
Yeah, he'll be back. Roster expands, he'll be back.
So what sticks with you most in the game? The pitching performance or Delgado? I mean, what strikes you, or is it just the overall?
Well, overall, it was really nice. Obviously, we had a good overall ball game from a lot of different people, but pitching is the key for me. Anytime you get a kid, Williams come up and do the way he's done the last couple starts, it's really, really encouraging. It's nice to have that depth, and the fact that he come up here and pitch well for us, that's tremendous. So I'm always a little more excited about pitching, and our hitter's going to hit. Delgado's not ever going to surprise me because he's one of the best hitters in the game. Good to see Shawn get in the game and get a knock for us, and Jose Reyes, he's it's the excitement. He's amazing when you watch him play every day. But the pitching was real good. I thought Williams did a great job for us, and hopefully continue that.
Hernandez was pretty good too, wasn't he?
Yeah, Bert came in and put the fire out a little bit. Threw a great slider. Slider was really good tonight, sharp and hit his spots. And anytime you make Albert Pujols look bad, don't look bad, but he had him out in front on a real nice slider. It's always nice. So Bert tried to get him going a little bit, and back-to-back nights he pitched real well.
Willie, what about the whole idea of sweeping the Cardinals at a time when they need to win? Does it mean anything?
No, not really, not at all. I mean, the way we've been playing all year, we don't focus anymore on any particular team. They're obviously a team that is going to be around, and hopefully we'll see them again. No, they're a fine ball club. We respect them, but we feel we're real good too. And our attitude has been for a long time that we feel we're just as good as anyone. So,
are you the best team in the National League?
I feel we are.
Will you any kind of special message you send Millage down with, even if it's only going to be for a week or so?
No, he's been down before, and his kid's working hard. We're going to continue to probably get him to play a little more left field maybe down there, maybe some of the corner positions, but mostly left field. But no, he knows what he needs to do. He's been working hard every day. Our coaching staff, Jerry Manuel especially, doing a great job with him. So he knows it needs to go down. He'll be ready to come back.
Well, did you have a feeling that when Delgado did bust out, he'd bust out in a big way like he has?
I told you that. Yeah, I told you. Didn't I say that the whole time? He's one of the best hitters in baseball. You know, guys react to little droughts, and when a guy has a track record like that, you just hope that it comes out sooner than later. But when he comes out, like I said, it's going to be payback time, and that's just what he's giving us right now. Never a concern in my mind.
When Valentin scored from second, I think, on a single, did he come in feeling okay?
Yeah, he's fine.
So there was he didn't feel any twinge or anything?
No, he's fine. It's good.
The hits that, the way that Green hit the ball line drives, that's what you're expecting out of him, right?
Yeah, he's an excellent line drive hitter. Hits the ball to all fields. That's what I remember him doing a lot of in Toronto, and that's similar to our approach. I think he's going to fit in real nicely for us. The fans seem like they really welcome him tonight with open arms, and he's going to be one of those guys that they're going to really like because he plays the game right. You know, he plays defense for you. He's a real focused individual, so I think they're going to like him. He's a great addition for us, I believe.
Well, you guys have such a big lead, and LeDuc is a guy who, as a catcher, can take a pounding back there. Is it tough, though, to rest him, I guess, is maybe even more than you'd want because of how productive he continues to be?
No, it has nothing to do with it. All year long, I've been even thought about what production he gets for us. It's just pretty much night and day. Night game, that's a day game. Right. You know that. What are you talking about?
I was thinking that you're playing him. I mean, he still seems to be playing so much with this lead, and I was just wondering, do you want to get him more rest, but you just feel like you can't take him out?
No, it has nothing to do with his hitting. That's for sure. I mean, with the lead, I probably want to rest him even more. Right. But no, it's pretty much just night game, day game. Paulie likes to play. He's feeling good, so that's really how we're going to use him. I mean, if he goes 4, 5, 6 days in a row, I might give him a day off. But he's feeling good, and it has nothing to do with the lead. It's all about protecting him. We've done that all year long, so that's not going to change. He'll probably won't play Sunday.
Would you rest him more with the lead you have the rest of the way, you think?
No, not necessarily. He likes to play. I think he's fine. I think the reason why he's playing so well is because we kept him pretty fresh most of the time. So, no, I'll pick my spots with him. I'll communicate with him every day, and if he needs a blow, we'll give him a blow. But I think the way we've used him has been perfect. Mark, he's funny.
Guys, we're going to be here for a couple of minutes. Williams is going to come in.
Well, he mixed in all of his pitches real well. His curveball, even though he hung a few every once in a while, he was able to pitch inside effectively, use his changeup, use all his pitches. I mean, he's one of those guys that he's a little bit deceptive. I think when you're looking for his changeup, he'll sneak the fastball in on you. I thought he and Paulie did a good job of mixing the pitches up pretty well. And he's got to do that. He's got to mix his pitches up, and I don't think he has anything that is going to knock his socks off, but he's a crafty kind of guy, and he knows how to pitch. He's showing he can pitch a little bit.
Willie, you also re-signed Kelly Stinnett today. To bring in any thought of bringing him in soon to help also give increase your catching core? Help give now and then?
Ramon Castro just had surgery, so we basically just bring him for a little insurance, that's all. And we'll see how the roster looks in September. We might bring him in.
And so that is the manager of the New York Mets, Willie Randolph. I thought it was very interesting when he was asked, are the Mets the best team in the National League? Unequivocally, he said, I feel we are. And so Willie not mincing any words. The 11-game winning streak at Shea is the Mets' longest on their home field since back in 1995. They are over 500 by 30 games for the first time since back in 1999 as they knock off the Cardinals. Out at the stadium, the final is 6-2. Dave Williams getting the win as he lasted into the 7th inning, and then the bullpen in relief getting it done as Carlos Delgado, his 32nd home run of the year. He now has 9 RBIs in his last 4 games. Shawn Green making his Mets debut, getting a hit and an RBI. Endy Chavez patrolling left field and doing so very well. And David Wright getting it done down at third. Delgado going deep. A good night for the Mets. Thanks for watching. So long.